bring us all up to speed. I hope so. Welcome. Hi, how are you? Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good to see you. All righty then. It's a good time this morning. Let's see. We was on Steph's show this morning, which was a good time. Very enjoyable. And let's see. I'm going to go to my channel real quick and make sure that all the stuff is firing on all cylinders to welcome everybody. Hey, there we go. Oh, look at that. That's me hearing me. Hey, gamer at Roblox 12. Welcome. How are you? Let's see. I need to get my sharing tech out there. And hi, YouTube is here. Yay. All right. It's finally working. Excellent. Fantastic. Hello. So, crazy doings behind the scenes today. It's been a party. So, interestingly enough, let me see if I can pull this up if we get this on the other computer. I guess the scariest and most interesting part of the morning has been that, oh, they fixed it. Good. So this morning when I checked the president's schedule about whether or not he was going to have any kind of event, public event or whatnot, I went and checked the president's schedule, as I often do, and it said the president has no public events scheduled, and underneath it in tiny little type it says where he has no current events scheduled, what his plans aren't. You know what I mean? So it said Camp David, even though last night it said clearly that the president, yesterday, said the president departs Camp David en route to White House at 1 o'clock. Now, why, in a working weekend away, wouldn't he fly back either late Sunday night or early Monday morning for the kind of things, if you're going to take a working weekend and go to Camp David, why not stay at Camp David till the rest of Sunday night or, return Monday morning, even though you're working, all that kind of stuff. Not that difficult. It's not that far. It's not a huge deal. Well, the reason is because the president was giving an exclusive interview to, wait for it, Fox News. And they did this virtual town hall. And where did they do their virtual town hall? At the Lincoln Memorial, which is cavernous and hilarious. Like this, my heart goes out to the sound guy at Fox News, who must have been just having a panic attack. Thanks, Richard Custer. It was nice to be on Steph's show, actually. It was a good time. My heart goes out to the poor sound man on on Fox News for having to figure out how to make that cavernous empty space with 5 people in it not sound like a yodeling contest in a canyon. So just pitiful. So we're going to, I probably will get a copyright strike for this at some point, not because of the use of the video itself, but because of the I think because of the music that they play sometimes, which is how they get you. And but regardless, who cares? I'm here for you guys. This is all patron driven at this point anyway, so la di da. And later on tonight I will be attempting to stream again and figure out best practices for getting all that stuff together. And until then, so and that of course will be after it all depends on the timing. Might be before. Might be gaming before we watch Endgame tonight as a family, because we watched Infinity War last night. And so what I've to make the pace of the quarantine much more manageable is doing the idea of like watching a movie and then planning to watch the sequel the next night or the night after. It's just I'm interested to see if this will help anyone or make them feel any better about themselves. So there you have it. But let's hold on, I have to move this thing over here. And let's jump in and go to the Lincoln Memorial. Hold on. That's the view of the Washington Memorial. And for the Fox folks, now I'm going to have to slide past the music part of this because, like I said, I think that's how they're going to try and get me. You got me? Wait, move back this way. There you go. So let's see. Let's go into. Oh, I'm trying to use the screen version. I'm funny that way. Okay, here we go. Oh God. Oh God. We're diving in. Here we go. Yes, we are, aren't we? Kind of in the shadow of greatness, aren't you? Like, put me on a big chair, like his big chair, like his feet on the ground. No, so I won't put my feet on the ground. These are the worst chairs chosen for this particular kind of thing, and I'm not quite sure why they use them, but. It's not a set, dummy. It's a memorial for a president who was assassinated in office. This is going to be fun. He's got that look on his face. Thank you so much. Hold on. I moved this thing over there. Yeah, the chairs are ridiculous. Thank you, Rebecca. Illuminati hand gesture. Why is he doing it? Why is he doing the Obama Illuminati hand gesture? Oh, you can't hear them? Oh, that's not good. Hold on. You should be able to. I hear them. That's weird. All right. I will fix that. Hold on one second. Oh, I know why. All right. Haha. Because I turned it off this morning when I was on with Steph so that she wouldn't hear a loop back of stuff, and then I forgot to turn it back on. That's my problem. Sound and effects, going down here. That's the pass-through. I'll add this. I'll just add Google to it, and that'll save me some trouble. There you go.
There are many Americans also who...
There we go. Do you guys hear that okay? Right.
We're angry about the reopenings. They're fearful. As many of these states are on the rise in their numbers.
You hear that? Where he's saying there's a divide. He's basically there's a split in the country. Oh, and all right. So I'll swip back to him going. All right, you got it.
This is a little different than our last town hall in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. That's true.
We'll
that
be
was
taking
a beauty.
questions from around the country.
Good.
And
good. Okay. Ask us questions.
a lot of great questions. I want to start with this, though, Mr. President. There is
No nasty questions? Have we thoroughly vetted our nasty question quota?
a real split in the country. There are folks out there
Who are dumb as a stump?
becoming increasingly angry about the closures.
You mean me?
There are many Americans also who are angry about the reopenings. They're fearful, as many of these
You mean Democrats who aren't very talented?
states are on the rise in their numbers.
Look how tall their chairs are. Look where their little coffee table is. Who wants bets on who will fall out of their chair trying to reach for a cup of coffee or their reading glasses first?
There's 66,000
And is Brett's chair higher than hers?
deaths, more than
Or is he just squashing it? I
Now-
don't know. Yeah, they had to make it bigger, so he's okay.
As president, what do you
Huh? Can you wake me when the stock market's at 30,000 again?
say to the people who are scared to go back to work on one side? And what do you say to the people who are really angry about these lingering closures?
Well, I think you can satisfy both.
Oh no. Hold on. I gotta. That's very important to me to be able to get all these things in there. Hold on. Do I want the to zoom instead? Maybe that's the easiest way to do it. I think so. Hold on. It's gonna drive me crazy. There.
Once it was reluctantly aroused.
Okay.
If you're scared, you're going to stay back a little bit and you're going to watch it. And I think anyone over 60, because we have a pretty good roadmap right now. Anybody over 60, you could say 65, but let's make it 60. We have to protect those people, and we have to watch it, and maybe they stay back
You mean nearly all of the Senate and nearly all of Congress?
longer. But no, I think
And nearly all of your administration?
you can really have it both ways. I think a lot of people want to go back. They just
If that doesn't sum up his presidency, it's president. You can have it both ways. That's his presidency in a nutshell.
want to go back. You see it every day. You see demonstrations all over the country. And
So, yeah, 200 idiots with guns. Can somebody explain to me the difference between like a tyrannical dictator government in the shape of a democratically elected group of people acting in the best interests of the citizenry, deciding on temporary policies of behavior, being called tyrannical. Meanwhile, unelected people who are not representative of the majority opinion by any stretch of the imagination, storming state offices with guns. How are they not the tyrants in this equation? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's more tyrannical than seizing control of life over death over your fellow citizens or the people in your country? Isn't that what a tyrant does?
and those are meaningful demonstrations. Oh, it's big stuff. But
You mean the bellies and the necks and all right.
you also
Thank you, Benny Loco.
have some people that are very scared. Probably everybody's scared when you get right down to it. It's a
Once the election comes up, I mean, have you seen my poll numbers?
terrible thing that happened to our country. It came from China. It should have been stopped. It could have been stopped on the spot. They chose not to do it or something.
They could not have stopped it on the spot. It's a contagious disease. They locked the whole place down. They welded people into their apartments. They sprayed entire streets with trucks that had 2 vents coming out the top, shooting Clorox all over everything. Like, what? Joseph, you missed the same jibber jabber
Something happened either
in a different location.
that was incompetent.
And by the way, what's the over-under on him saying scourge?
Or they didn't do it for some reason, and we're going to have to find out what that reason was. But people are absolutely scared. But there are other people that are scared about being locked in a room and losing their job and not having any income. And
What do you mean, your campaign office people? Hold on, I'm going to shrunk this down so I don't get busted for, graphic-y issues.
for the first time, these are workers. These are people that want to get back and work and make a living, and they're afraid their job's not going to be there.
Gee, I wonder why they think that. Because their customers are dead?
And at a certain point, if you keep it going too long, that's going to happen. So I understand that very well.
On that note,
And if you don't do it long enough, everybody dies.
let's hear from our first video questioner. This is Shayna Cruz from Coleman, Alabama.
By the way, Coleman, Alabama is where we shot Lightning Bug, my buddy Rob Hall, who was the bass player in 01. That's his hometown. It is known for setting the record for the most number of churches in any town in the world, short of the Vatican.
Mr. President, my name is Shayna Cruz, and I'm a single mother from Alabama. I lived paycheck to paycheck before the virus, but then I lost my job in March. I haven't received a stimulus payment or anything from unemployment.
Excuse me, if you want one, you get one, and if you don't have one, then just go to, where are my glasses? I left my glasses around here somewhere. I don't quite know.
I'm behind on every bill, about to be evicted from my home, and I've had to rely on donations in order to feed my children.
Uniquely American.
I feel frustrated, and I feel scared not knowing where to turn or what to do. What advice do you have for me and others in my situation? Is there more help coming?
I would say be more talented as an American.
Number one, there's more help coming. We have really no choice because incredible people like this.
We have no choice. We have no choice but to keep helping. What a weird way to phrase things.
It's not your fault. I mean, just remember that it's
She knows. She knows it's not her fault.
not your fault. And
Yeah, they know. That's why it's frustrating. It's
there's
your
more
fault.
help coming. There has to be. And we want to get it to a point when we open, we're not going to lose businesses, and therefore, more importantly, frankly, we're not going to lose the jobs that run the businesses. So a case like that is an exact, it's really, that's the reason why we have to do more. And we're going to do more, and everybody wants to do more. It's actually, on that aspect of it, it's very bipartisan. So the answer is yes, we're going to do more. And
Yeah, she hasn't gotten anything yet. So more of nothing. Good luck, Coleman, Alabama.
have your job. You're going to get another job, or you're going to get a better job. You get a job.
You're going to have your job, but you're going to get a better job. What are you talking about?
Where you make more money, frankly.
She's okay. How is that? He doesn't even know what she does.
And I think that's going to happen. I think we're going to have.
Based on what?
What'll happen is, it'll work out. What's going to happen is your dad will give you $1 million, and you'll start your own business, and you'll lose all that money, and then he'll give you another $112 million, and you'll blow that on meth and coke and hookers and bad business deals, and then you can borrow from after he dies, you can borrow from your siblings' trust fund to the tune of $25 million, and then another $35 million just for operating cash until no bank in the country will loan to you anymore. And then a shirtless hero from Russia will ride in on a white horse. No, that's Kim Jong-un. On some sort of a horse. And salvage your life with $600 million in unsecured BS loans.
We're going to have an incredible following year. We're going to go into a transition in the third.
Yeah, after your eviction and after you run out of money and your children have no food, next year is going to be awesome.
Quarter, and we're going to see things happening that look good. I really believe that. I have a good feel for this stuff. I've done it for a long time. We built the
You've never had a day of profit in your life.
greatest economy in the world.
Largest deficit, biggest military spending ever, totally overprimed pump.
Greatest economy, frankly, Brett, and you can correct me if you'd like.
Glory days.
But you can't, because it's fact. The greatest economy that the world has ever seen. And then one day they said, sir, we're going to have to close it. I said, what do you...
Like this little play that he does every time. This is like his own version of Death of a Salesman that he does every day.
Sir, you're going to have to close it down. And I said, oh, no, now you're going to close it down.
What are you talking about closing?
What are you talking about to close it down?
Nobody ever heard that. We're going to have to close it. And we did the right thing. I think we saved millions of lives.
But versus not doing anything.
But now we have to get it back open. And we have to get it back open safely, but as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Safe, quick, and cheap. I think those are the three options, right? You can only have two.
Let me ask you about that, because you've talked about that moment quite a bit with just...
Yeah. Easy. Don't bring it up.
this roaring...
You've been telling this bullshit story over and over again, Mr. President. Stay focused on me. Pretty blonde, Mr. President. Look over here. Look at the pretty blonde.
Economy, and advisors saying to you, we've got to shut it down at this point.
Yeah, we've all heard it.
So when you look back on that moment...
Thank you, Joe Carter.
And you see some other examples. Japan, for example, did not do as broad a shutdown. They've only lost about 500 people out of 130 million.
You're right, but now they're doing a massive shutdown because they've been hit very hard. And so you're right about it.
Yeah, that's my question. Do you ever look back at that moment in the Oval Office and say, maybe we went too far?
No, we did the right thing. I do look back on it.
That's the question. Do you think we did too much? We're going to have 70,000 dead people by tonight. By the end of the evening, there is no question there will be over 70,000 Americans dead. And her question is, were you too cautious? Well, talk about like just protecting his ass.
Because my attitude was, we're not going to shut it down. Look, we're going to lose anywhere from 75, 80 to 100,000 people. That's a horrible thing. We shouldn't lose.
Uh-huh. Wasn't it? We're going to lose like 65. Oh, Joyce, thank you so much. Look at that little jumping wolf. That's wonderful. Thank you.
One person over this. This should have been stopped in China. It should have been stopped. But if we didn't do it, The minimum we would have lost is $1.2 million, $1.4 million, $1 million.
If you didn't do anything, I don't get. Thank you so much, Joyce. Bless you.
That's the minimum. We would have lost probably higher than, it's possible, higher than 2.2. You know the way you have to look at that?
Yes, through the prism of reality. And look at this. Look at this question. Look at this question. Is it possible the shutdown went too far? Wow. What?
I've never seen death like this. I've never personally experienced anything like it. And they talk about.
And the rest of us have? How many, like.
Abe, were you there for the... No, you were dead before the pandemic of... Okay, never mind.
About the flu and all of that.
Were a lot of people dying during the Civil War, like on battlefields and Gettysburg? I don't remember.
Well, I've known people that had the flu all my life. I was lucky. I never had the flu. Then I came here. They want to give a flu shot. And I say, I don't want a flu shot, but they have to give it. But you know what? I've known people that had the flu all of them.
Why that anecdote? Why literally the anecdote you don't tell if you want to make sure that during the pandemic coming back in the fall, people have their flu shot. So you're not comparing people who, people coming in with the symptoms of the flu who are real. Oh, God.
All of my life. Nobody ever died. I never had a friend he had the flu and he died. I've lost 3 friends. One, a very good friend, a very successful man, New York guy, employed a lot.
That's a good friend, by the way. His good friends are the most successful ones, not the ones he has a relationship with and hangs out with and can share things with and has friendships with. Never mind the fact that he's never known anybody who died from the flu, which is like, what? Hi, Amy.
But a lot of people, they were all crying over his death. Stanley Shearer. He went to the hospital. He calls me up because I tested positive. I said, well, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to the hospital. I'll call
Have you tried hydroxychloroquine? I'll send some over right away.
you tomorrow.
Oh, he named this guy because this guy was a big real estate mogul, and he was like 80 some odd years old.
He didn't call. I called the hospital. He's in a coma. No, I know a lot of people that had the flu. They were never in a coma.
And there is no way he called the hospital to talk to the guy, and that's how he found out he was in a coma. Do you understand? Like, that's impossible. That's nonsense. That's another one of these, sir, there's a thing and you're the best.
This is a very advanced, this is a very horrible thing we're fighting. But with all of that said, we've learned.
Have to open our country. These are terrible dinosaurs, but we have to release them on the island so that they can eat the tourists. We got to do it. I mean, the whole thing is a dinosaur experience. And if they're not eaten by a dinosaur, how can they have the experience?
A lot about it. It affects older people. It affects. If
I'm Twitch streaming later, Flang Doodle.
you have any problem, heart, diabetes, even a little weak heart, a little diabetes, a little. This thing is vicious, and it can take you out, and it can take you out very strongly. But children do very well.
What do you mean?
Young children do.
What do you mean take you out very strongly? You're either dead or you're dead.
Better than, teens.
So you think
Children do better than teens. Are you saying that because you heard about the 17-year-old girl who died and you're just like, well, that's one. I mean, I guess.
you've learned from this how you've dealt with it now?
Yeah.
If it comes up in the fall, you'll do something different?
Yeah, we'll put out the embers. We'll put out whatever it may be. We may have to put out a fire. I tell you one thing.
Oh, okay. Now, remember when it was just embers? Yeah, I totally agree. Like, there is no way. Hold on for a second. This is bullshit. The hospital would not release the information that the guy's in a coma. His family might tell you, but you wouldn't call the hospital to find that out. Secondly, you would ask your staff to find out how he's doing, and they would tell you. It's just weird.
Thing. We did the right thing, and I really believe we could have saved 1.5 million lives. And by the way, just to know what that means.
Yeah, it means that you consider it an option in a pandemic or any kind of national emergency to just let it slide. That you think there's a version of reality where you just, hell with it.
We've seen death like Elmhurst Hospital in Queens, right where I grew up, right near where I grew up. Know the building very well. No.
Well, did you really grow up? You got taller, I would say, and certainly Leon's getting larger. Right?
The hospital. They had body bags lined up in hallways.
Uh-huh. We're feeling better already.
They had body bags sitting out on sidewalks. We've never seen that in this country. You saw the mass grave. It's called Hart's Island. They built a mass grave. I've never seen anything like that. When you look at that and that's with, let's say it's 100,000 or 90 or 95. Now multiply it out. Don't go 2.2 or 2.5 million. Say it's half of that. So take the numbers that we looked at.
Like he keeps trying to take the worst possible number where you do nothing and cut it in half by doing half a something
that nobody in this country has ever witnessed, and now multiply it times 15 or 20.
He has not said scourge yet, but I feel it is coming.
So instead of having 10 or 12 body bags
Now I'm the king of body bags.
laying in a hallway, you'd have 15 times more than that?
That's the scary part for business owners who are getting ready to open up. Our next question.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mike.
Question comes from here in D.C.
Bless you.
And it's a topic we received a lot of questions.
You think? I'm a business owner down here in Tupelo, Mississippi, and I have a mild concern that if we don't get rid of these roaming aliens that breathe fire, that my coffee house is we're gonna have a real hard time keeping customers inside when they've been burnt to a crisp by roving demons. So, you're saying it's fine though, because the sky's still full of fire-breathing demons. You sure?
Questions about, and that is testing and what people have to do. Take a listen.
Some people like testing, other people think testing's a terrible idea, because every time you test, you find more. Don't look.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Sarah Poland. I'm the owner of Supergirl based in Washington, D.C. And I'd like to know what kind of federal protocols are going to be in place for our
Supergirl. So Supergirl is a soup place.
testing to ensure that my potential customers and staff
Is that the choice? Supergirl. Can I see the girl first?
feel safe when people are leaving their homes. For example, if someone comes from another state that doesn't have the same testing standards as another, and they both come to my establishment, how are we all going to feel safe?
I recommend forehead tattoos. Or if you're healthy, we spray you with orange so people know that you're genetically superior and very talented.
Thank you very much. Look, it depends
She didn't hear you. It was on video.
on where you're coming from. New York is a very much different place than Montana or
Right. New York, they're testing people. Montana, they aren't. Dummy. That's what she's saying. She's not worried about New Yorkers. She's worried about people from Montana.
many other states, really, where it's not, really too bad. It's always bad. They lose anybody, it's bad. And every state has lost significant numbers of people. I mean, whether you're talking about 20 people or 25 people, that's a significant number of people. But it depends on where you come from.
I love the illusion of empathy that he attempts. You even lose one person, I don't care. But we have to open our country, but that'll mean a lot of people die. Well, we got to get it open because...
Certain states are going to have to take a little more time in getting open, and they're doing that. Some states...
Yeah. The ones that are doing that aren't her concern. Her concern are the states where like, this is bullshit. This is the UN shock troops coming down here taking my freedom, not letting me go outside. Come on, man. We got to open it up. America. America is Trump's fecal material sled. Sliding into freedom. Those are the people we're worried about.
States, I think, frankly, aren't going fast enough. I mean, you have some states that, Virginia, they want to close down till the middle of June, and a lot of things that they're doing, I really believe.
Yeah. The middle of June is a reasonable amount of time.
You can go to parks, you can go to beaches, you keep it.
That's not businesses.
You keep this.
That's not opening the economy. That's just outdoors.
spread. You stay away.
Ew. Spread.
A certain amount. And I really think the public has been incredible with that's one of the reasons we're successful. That's one of the, if you call losing 80 or 90,000 people successful, but it's one
I don't.
of the reasons that we're not at that high end of the plane as opposed to the low end of the plane.
No, we're not at the high end of the plane because we didn't all just do absolutely nothing.
Has changed, Mr. President. You said
It's
50,
going up.
60, you
No,
said
it's
60,
going up.
70,
I used to
now
say
you're 80 to
65,000,
90.
and now I'm saying 80 or 90, and it goes up, and it goes up rapidly. But
That's what. But we've got to open it. What? How is that a response?
it's still
Yeah, I used to say it was like 15. Remember that? Remember the good old days when I said 11? Remember the days when I didn't want Americans on a cruise ship to dock and get medical services because it would add 40 to my number? Oh.
still going to be, no matter how you look at it, at the very lower end of the plane if we did the shutdown.
You said that the governors would be kind of responsible for the testing, and we just talked to Governor Hogan. He says there is federal assistance coming to get specific parts.
Well, not only coming, we've given him a lot of assistance, which is good.
So
We've given a lot of assistance, which is good. You're supposed to.
your son-in-law advisor, Jared Kushner, declared that it's a great success story, the federal response.
It is.
And that
Yeah. Look at the question. Question. Jared Kushner calls federal response a great success story. Do you agree? He didn't even let him finish it.
It is. It's a great success story.
when you look at the other side,
If you look at not doing anything ever.
that you're on the other side medically.
So, let's say you're trying to pick a doctor. Would you rather go with the doctor that flunked out of medical school or the one who never went in the first place? See what I mean?
Do you think that as deaths are going up and cases are going up, that we really are on the other side medically, and that this is a great success story from the federal government?
Well,
How do
I
you
can
respond?
own, well, it's too soon to say that really, I guess, because,
Yeah. That just occurred to him.
we're still in the middle of something, but certainly we would have lost a lot more people, Brett.
If we didn't do anything. Like Trump didn't do 2020. That's
we would
what
have
this is.
done, as an example, you call it herd. If we would have done herd, in other words,
No, you don't call it herd. It's herd immunity. It's not, you don't just call it herd. He does this all the time. He doesn't know the rest of the term. He doesn't know herd immunity. So he just says herd.
everything's wonderful, let's just keep going along.
Herd immunity.
We would have lost 2.5.
That's, look, he corrects him. Herd immunity. It's called herd immunity, Mr. President, or whatever. And by the way, that's not, herd immunity is not if you do nothing. Herd immunity is what we have with the flu over time. What we will have to some degree with this over time as the contagion goes up or you have a vaccine, and if that vaccine has efficacy for another, for more than one round, that it doesn't mutate fast enough like the flu does to require another update to the vaccine. So like herd. I don't know why he doesn't just make that noise and then take a dump on the stage.
2.5 million people, I think.
If you did nothing, if I, instead of doing the, following the normal guidelines of the CDC, had gouged out my eyes and smeared the walls of the White House with excrement, we'd have had like 2.6 million dead people.
I think, or 1.5 million or 2 million people.
Thank you, Amber.
No, I think we've done, I think the American people have done a good job. This is a tragic situation. Everybody knows somebody that's been affected.
When the feeling's gone and the hurt is gone, it's tragedy.
That's a very rare thing. But everybody knows. Some states have done a better job than others. I mean, that's the way it is. But
Hey, yeah, what's your standard for doing better than others? Being hit by the devastation really badly and then responding to it with everything you got, or being a smaller, less populous state with almost no contact until it seeps into your state and catch you flat-footed and kills way more people. Because I'm going to go with he thinks that the number of cases out of the gate are indicative. Like he thinks Washington State was hit first because of a lack of talent. P.S. Google's offices are there.
But in some states, you can do a lot less than in other states.
Yeah, people in the middle of a field can wear fewer masks.
New York, I think you're going to have to go around with masks for a while. You're going to have to do separation. You're distancing. You're going to have to do that for a while. But some states are doing so well, and others are. I have to tell you, I got to know the governors, and
oh God, we're gonna like anecdotal. Some of them were nice, and some of them aren't.
With a few exceptions, to be honest, because they're just political machines, and anything you say, it's always going to be like, what's good politically? Because we shouldn't be in that position. I will say that they really have done, a lot of them, a great job, and we've worked with them.
They don't have a choice. They've grouped together in groups of 6 all the way across the country to deal with the problem because they know they can't rely on you.
There were no ventilators. We're the king of, I say it, we're the king of ventilators.
Yeah, what are you, you're going to make body bags faster. What are you the king of then?
You look at the testing. We tested now 6.5 million people.
7.2. And still we're per capita behind, Belarus?
The next highest is, I think it's 2.5 million people, either Germany or South Korea. And
yeah, they have a fifth the people we have. You want to do the per capita with them?
South Korea thinks we've done an incredible job. They're saying the job, he's a friend of mine, President Moon. He said the job you've done on testing and the job we've done on ventilators, we have it's one of the greatest buildups we've ever had in this country since.
No, it isn't. This is not that huge a deal.
Certainly,
you didn't even have to use the DPA to do it.
The Second World War.
Speaking of that, Gretchen Whitmer, the governor in Michigan, she's saying this morning on TV, we don't have the reagents we need, we don't have the swabs we need. She's still saying that she can't get the testing that she wants.
Look.
Sigh. Listen to this.
Look, we had a phone call 5 days ago with the governors. I was on the call with Vice President Mike Pence.
5 days ago. How often are you talking to which governors? You mean like a 50 states at a time 5 days ago? We're in the middle of this. What? All right.
A great job. He's the head of the committee, the task force. Every governor there, we asked it, what do you need? Not one governor needed anything. Now all of a sudden you see her on the Sunday. I watched it. Well, we should get this or we should get that. She ought to get back to running her state properly.
She is. See, the way you run your state properly is you use every resource available to you, and then when you don't have those resources, you enact the value of having a federal government that you are a part of and that you pay taxes into, you receive benefits from. And since you declared a national emergency and declared a national emergency in Michigan specifically, she has the right to resources from them. That's why she's asking them for, all right.
Because she should have brought it up on a phone call. I was on that call for an hour and a half. The call.
I was awake for almost some of it.
I stayed right till the end. And at the end.
They nudged me when it was over.
And I said, does anybody need anything? We had one.
Oh, wait. Somebody did need something.
Governor Inslee, who's always wanting something. And frankly, he didn't do a very good job on nursing homes, as far as I'm concerned. State of Washington.
That was where the first outbreak was. This is literally before we even knew how to treat people and how whether or not putting people on ventilators or not had a value, how fast it spread. This was still in the early stretch of it, and he still tamped it down in his state.
Of Washington. And he said, we need swabs. I said,
no, I think you need swabs. Schwab's is the place where you get tapped on the shoulder and told you got moxie and end up getting a job in old Hollywood, if I'm not mistaken.
Why don't you get him yourself? But if you can't, we'll get him.
Well, if he can't get him himself, that's why he's asking you, dipshit. Oh, could we just get these? Nah, just ask him to get them for us. I'm too tired. The amount of projection.
And I could say the same thing about her. But here's the thing. Why?
Here's the thing. What's the thing? Tell us the thing. By the way, this is a really good look. Oh, nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrows. Nobody knows the schwabbles I've seen.
Why didn't they bring this up? I had it read. You know about the call. It was.
You just said they brought it up. You just said Inslee brought it up. And they talk to Pence all the time.
Every week or 2 weeks we'll have a call.
And you did not have all 50 on at the same time. And I'll bet you anything, they kept saying, remember, you guys will remember this, as we've been doing this, they keep saying, 48 of the 50 governors, 48 of the 50 governors, remember that? And then I bet you anything, it was Inslee and Whitmer that weren't on the call. Thank you, Mary.
All 50 governors, I believe, were on that call.
No, they weren't. You said they weren't.
The last statement, okay, who needs something? None of them. Many of them spoke. Nobody needed, other than Washington wanted swabs, which are easy to get. Very.
Well, if they're easy to get, then why do they need them from you? I'll tell you why. Because you swooped in and took the order that they had. Schwabs.
Used it again.
So let me ask you,
Boy, I got through that one. Whew! Dodged a bullet there.
man who you're about to hear from was told he had a 20% chance to live. He had COVID-19. He was in really bad shape, young. I think he's about 39 years old, actually, 39 years old. But he did recover. And here's Danny Lamos from Grand Island, Nebraska.
Okay.
President Trump, this is Danny again here, Grand Island, Nebraska. With the FDA approving remdesivir as a...
He's pronouncing it like the president, clearly a Fox viewer. Or maybe he just watched it on ours and didn't see my corrections. I think there's, folks, you need to watch everything Trump does with me guiding you through it. So there.
Drug of choice to help fight this, which is...
It's remdesivir, by the way.
Drug I was on. What are we going to do and put in place to make sure that there's enough of this drug available for everybody?
So we're doing that. It's a great question because it's a very hard drug to make, and it takes a period of time, and is made by Gilead. And I know that Danny gave that drug a lot of credit for saving his life. I think that's correct, Danny.
Yeah, what do you mean you think that's correct? That's what the video's about. That's what he's actually saying. He wasn't beating around the bush. That was his question, was about remdesivir.
But Danny, I believe, gave a lot of credit to that drug for saving his life.
Yeah, we all watched the video. Gosh, has it been a week already? It was just they just played it.
We are pushing it really hard.
Thank you, Steve. Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks so much.
We're also pushing something else, the vaccines. We are very confident that we're going to have a vaccine at the end of the year. By the end of the year, have a vaccine.
By the end of this year.
We think we're going to have a...
Yeah, but will it save lives or kill people? Because we still have, what's the one right now that they're actually the Zantac? We have Zantac got out. Zantac was readily available. Zantac was everywhere. Now there are cancer ads about Zantac.
Have a vaccine.
Rendezvous scourge.
When people try rendezvous scourge, rendesicloroflaga mensacoatzaquetzalcoatl.
By the end of this year, and we're pushing very hard. You know, we're building supply lines now. We don't even.
You can't push it. You can't. To quote Real Genius, you can't rush innovation, Don.
Have the final vaccine. Johnson & Johnson, if you look at Johnson & Johnson is doing...
Yeah, they're working on one for September. Oxford's probably going to beat their timeline, too. There's groups and consortiums all over the world. Everybody wants to make it.
We have many companies are, I think, close. Because
How do you know? How would you know? Close to having one is one thing. making it and then having it come out where it doesn't collapse your cells or attack every other part of your being is the testing part, which you want to zip right past.
Because I meet
Isn't this the guy who just said the cure can't be worse than the problem?
with the heads of them, and I find it a very interesting subject because it's so
What? Well, yeah, you're just.
Interesting. Please do go on.
important. But I think we'll have a vaccine by the end of the year. We're also
Do you? Do you really?
pushing it. Look, we're doing things at the FDA that's never happened before. We're getting approved.
You mean proving stuff sight unseen that may kill people because you're using the fact that it's an emergency to allow pharmaceutical companies to do tests that they are not 100% sure on will not kill people in the process? And you're like dumping hydroxychloroquine down the throats of veterans at the VA while they're unconscious, suffering from COVID-19. That kind of thing that's never been done before? Well, I don't know. I mean, didn't the Tuskegee Airmen beat you to it?
Approval so fast. Like as an example, with Gilead on the new remdesivir, that's going to be
Remdesivir. All right. I can pronounce hydroxychloroquine and remdesivir, and I know just from seeing it on the news. And this guy is pushing it, supposedly sitting in meetings, and he doesn't. All right.
That's a game changer because it's a 31% step. It's a step. It's a 31% step, and then they'll be at 50%. Like AIDS, what's happened with AIDS?
Tell us what's happened with AIDS.
AIDS was a scourge all over the world.
Oh my God, look, a brand new scourge. All right, he's done all the rooms at the White House. He hit Camp David with it. Oh, he didn't do it on camera. I bet he missed when he typed it. He was pronouncing it in his head. And now he said it at the Lincoln Memorial. Scourge. Holy God. Scourge. It's pronounced scourge. Dipshit.
World. It was, you were dead. It was a death certificate. And then all of a sudden they came up with some, and now we will be AIDS free.
All of the sudden they came up with something. As someone who on Queer as Folk was in the first HIV positive negative relationship on an American series, and literally I have done every AIDS walk in the country at least twice. Many others I have done multiple times. San Francisco, LA, New York, I've done multiple times as well. Miami. Miami, I think we just did once. Atlanta, I did a couple of times. More than that. And then all of a sudden, it was 30 years of 9 steps forward, 10 steps back.
Within 8 years.
All of the sudden.
We started 10 years. Should have started in the previous administration. They did nothing.
So the Obama administration did nothing on AIDS. And because he's finally doing something, we're going to be AIDS-free in the world in 8 years.
Mr. President,
It started at my administration. 10 years
the
and now
FDA
it's
has
on to 8.
approved.
What started in his administration? Are you literally taking? That's like taking credit for all the days after you were born.
This remdesivir. And
Yes.
He's asking, how do you get it? Are you going to use the Defense Production Act to get it?
Well, he got it. I'll tell you, Danny got it, fortunately, and Danny gave it credit for saving his life.
We just saw that. Yeah, we know. Why are you reminding yourself?
We are putting
I have to tell myself what just happened, or I can't write it on my arm. I'm the memento president.
the full power and might behind this drug. With that,
No, you don't. You're not. You're just letting Gilead's donating 1.5 million doses, and then they're continuing to make more. You're not. You could use the DPA to insist they make, let other companies synthesize remdesivir, but you aren't. So you're not using the full weight of anything.
that being said, it's a very hard drug. There are others that are much easier to make.
Yeah, how do they make it? What's the big hang up? Do you have to use 2 Bunsen burners?
Tell us how it's made, please. Explain to me the finer points.
It takes a
Yes, Scourge did kill off all the minor Marvel supervillains in the 80s. But then they all of a sudden found a cure for him and he went away.
little period of time to make it. The company is a great company, done incredible work over the years. They are pushing absolutely as fast. You know, this isn't something like, let's build machines or this is a very delicate balance, but we're pushing very, very hard on.
You mean this isn't as easy as testing?
Remdesivir.
Remdesivir.
So our next question is from a teacher in Chesterfield, Virginia.
Okay.
Hi, President Trump. My name is Kristen Murray. I'm an algebra teacher in Virginia. We appreciate you and support you in all you're doing. I would like to see what your ideas are for getting us teachers back into our classrooms. We don't want to be virtual teaching. We want to be in the classrooms with our students. So what's your ideas for getting us back in our classrooms and getting the doors open?
Well, I
Before
agree
you answer
with
that, Mr.
Yes,
President, just
please.
1 second. A lot of questions tonight, not only from teachers, but also the other side, from students talking about COVID-19. Real quick, put them together here. Rebecca Johnson.
Hi, I'm Rebecca, and I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm going to be a freshman in high school next year, and I worry
Thank you, Melinda.
that coronavirus is going to come back. How will I feel safe going back to school if a second wave hits?
So when you go back, and you have one problem that is a bigger problem, and that's teachers over 60 or 65 years old, the teachers. Because I think that Kristen and Rebecca are going to be in great shape, and they may wear masks for a while, and they may be separated further than what they're used to.
Yeah, high school students are going to separate. Yeah, totally. That'll happen.
And I think they're going to be in great shape. But
Yeah, they'll be in great shape. Do you know why that 17-year-old died of it? Neither does anybody else.
we have to get our schools back. This virtual teaching is wonderful. And, you know, frankly, it's taken a very positive step. I mean, I could say I've had now essentially board meetings and meetings with governors and other people with, you know, using, they call it tele, right? Tele. And it's not bad.
No, they don't. Nobody calls it tele. What? Who names it tele? You mean like as in pen and? What do you mean they call it tele? This is ridiculous. They call it tele. It's called television, Grandpa. It's got a, where's the remote? It's called a remote, Grandpa. What time are we eating, Grandpa? You know, they say that when you get ulce, that you stow be fin words.
Not bad, but there's nothing like having a meeting. I still think you're never going to replace that. No, they're going to go.
You're never going to replace that. Nobody's thinking we're going to replace that. We're not going to all live in cocoons, dipshit. We're going to go back to interacting. We're going to go back to human contact. The question is, how soon safely can you actually do that? And you are rushing it. Look at the year 1921. In your mind, 4 years after the Spanish flu. In reality, a year after. People were crammed into workspaces, crammed into parades and shopping malls and, you know, and houses, everything. It didn't matter. Big cities were just bustling with people. People will go back to it. The question is if you, how fast you do it without killing everyone. Dummy.
We're going to go back. We have to have our students go back to school. My biggest thing, because I really feel the students are in great shape. They're going to be all of the things we have to do, all of the things. But I do worry about teachers at a certain age.
Because you're still buying that it's just an old folks thing. And you're continuing to sell that. And the more you sell that, the easier it is to open the rest of the country and fool people in their, you know, in their 30s and 40s or in their teens that it won't. All right.
Rebecca's young, and she's going to be fine.
But the lady who talked before, I don't know how old she is, but she's probably going to be dead in 8 years.
Students are going to be fine.
Hi, Natalie.
But I really think that, you know, if you take a look, Kristen is going to be fine. But if you have a teacher that's 65 or 70 years old and has diabetes, that one, I think they're going to have to sit it out for a little while.
But, Mr. President,
unless we come
overall-
up with the vaccine sooner.
Are you going to urge the nation's universities and schools to go back in September?
I am. I want them to go back. We have to get our country back, yeah. I don't want to do this forever.
You don't want to do this at all.
A very good governor, former governor of Indiana, he preceded Mike Pence, good governor, and he's the head of Purdue. It's a great school. And I saw him the other day. He wants to go back. He's going back. Purdue, big school, fantastic. They're going back. We have to go back. We have to go back. And whatever it is, I would say, with the exception of teachers at a certain age, maybe they should wait till this thing passes. It will pass. You know, it's going to pass.
That's the herd immunity idea, which you were just disparaging a moment ago. By the way, nice face.
And a lot of people say we have to get the vaccine. Well, certainly we do. And we have to get therapeutics. I'd rather have right now therapeutics that make people better. That's where remdesivir is really good.
You did talk a lot about hydroxychloroquine
I do, and
for
I
a
still
while,
do.
And there were some studies that came out that questioned the cardiac tie, but you stopped talking about it.
One study, but there were studies that came out that say it's very good too.
No, there weren't.
And I'll tell you what, I've had 3 calls in the last
3
days, 4 days, of people that took it, and they're giving it credit for saving their lives.
Yeah, they don't know.
And other other countries are using it. They're bragging about it. You look at
No, they're not.
their numbers. Here's what we've been reduced to in this country. The Democrats, the radical left, whatever you want, would rather see people, I'm going to be very nice. I'm not going to say die. I'm going to say would rather see people not get well because they think I'm going to get credit if, hydroxychloroquine works.
No. We looked at it when you mentioned it, and everybody's going, what are you talking about? Who's using hydroxychloroquine for this? And as soon as you said that, scientists all over the place were coming out going, you're going to kill people. Plus, we're going to run out of it for the people who need it. A bunch of people are going to run out and use an untested drug. There's no proof that this actually works. And you did end up killing people. All the people that used it on at the VA at your direction, it either didn't do anything or it killed them. The people who are calling you are in the didn't do anything category.
And I don't want to.
You could have given them a placebo. There was no test.
I don't care about it. I have nothing to
Yes, you do.
do with it, by the way. Everyone said I own the company.
Nobody said you owned the company.
I have nothing to do with hydroxychloroquine, other than if it worked, it would be great. It would be so good for our nation because it would save people. But we've had some very good. You look at there are certain countries that swear by it. They have a much lower number. You know the countries I'm talking about.
But you're putting your
Wait, what? What countries have a much lower number than us? A death rate? A recovery rate? I thought we were number 1 across the board. Did we not? Yeah?
real chips on the vaccine being fast?
I think we're going to have a vaccine by the end of the year. Now, the doctors would say, well, you shouldn't say that. I'll say what I think. I've met with the heads of the big companies. These are great companies. Yeah, I think we're going to have a vaccine much sooner rather than later. I think it will be. I think that will be done. I would rather have, frankly, therapeutic, meaning something to make people better, if not a cure.
Oh, is that what a therapeutic is? Thank you for solving that for me. We were all very, you don't mean like a neck rub?
Cure, at least a therapeutic. And, you know, that, look, we started the other day with Gilead. I really think so. But we're going to have a...
You waited with Gilead. You were pushing hydroxychloroquine, or remdesivir was showing better efficacy. South Koreans were using it. That's who the phone calls are coming from. They're telling you about remdesivir, not hydroxychloroquine.
Other things. And it could be that hydroxy is going to be... We don't lose anything with hydroxy. It's been...
Yeah, we do. People. We've lost veterans.
Out there, Brett. It's been out there for so many years.
Yeah. And they know that it mixes badly with certain maladies and certain physical affectations.
Then they start doing the false reports. It's making big... It's been
false reports. So it's fake news now when people die from it.
Used for numerous things for many years. People aren't dying from it. But
obviously,
they would
doctors
rather,
are involved there, and
they don't want to see a good result, and that's...
No, we don't want you suggesting stuff to people who follow your every word, will take something, or in the case of the VA, because you're the commander-in-chief, force a drug into unconscious veterans because the military supersedes their familial wishes and their own wishes about their own physical life.
Let me ask, there are some questions that deal with looking back. Leslie is one of them. Leslie Caulfield from New Jersey has our next question for the panel.
President Trump, it's been widely reported that the threat of the coronavirus was included in your daily intelligence briefings for weeks prior to the first confirmed case in the U.S. Can you please explain to us why you did not act sooner to prepare this country for this pandemic?
Okay, I love the question, actually, because what I did is way early, I closed our country to China.
No. 40 other countries did it first, and all the major airlines. You didn't do it way early.
Nancy Pelosi was a month later saying it's going to pass. Everybody, even Tony Fauci was saying it's going to pass, not going to be a big deal. Schumer was talking about all sorts of things. This is long after I closed the country. They called me a racist. They said xenophobe.
Yeah, because you only applied it to non-citizen Chinese people.
Biden said he was xenophobic. Biden has
you are xenophobic.
Now written a letter of apology because I did the right thing. I saved hundreds of thousands of lives. Okay. She's asking me the question about intelligence. I have the head of the intelligence.
You closed the border and you did nothing with it. You didn't start tracing, you didn't start testing, you didn't do a mandatory quarantine for the people that did come in. It was voluntary.
Agencies here today. And here's the exact thing, and we have it. It's going to be released tomorrow or the next day.
Or the next day, whenever we can draft it up.
I released it today. On January 23rd, I was told that there could be a virus coming in, but it was of no real import. In other words, it wasn't,
why would they tell you?
Got to do something.
Why would the intelligence community tell you about a virus that's coming in of no import? What kind of assholes did you put in positions to govern your president's daily intelligence brief that would let you know about a virus that they're like, this is nothing?
We got to do something. It was a brief conversation, and it was only on January 23rd.
January 23rd. Shortly thereafter, what happened?
I closed down the country.
Shortly thereafter, a week after 40 other countries, including Italy, Italy had already closed travel to China, and the major airlines had stopped flying people not just from China, but to China, because they didn't want their staff to get sick.
To China. And we had 21 people in the room. I was the only one that wanted to close it down. Very good people in the room, very well-meaning. But take a look.
Why? Which people weren't for it? And were they against it because that's all you were going to do?
Look, on I think it was February 26th, Nancy Pelosi is let's dance in the streets of Chinatown to show that it's not going to hurt us. In other words, I'm not blaming her for it, but no.
No, the Chinese people weren't the source of it. American Chinese people or Chinese people living in America weren't the causation point for this disease. It was already here.
Nobody thought this was going to happen. But on January, it's such an important question to me because they think that months earlier we were told about this and we should have done something about it.
You mean when you told Israel?
China didn't even know for a period of time.
Look, again, I was warning people about this in December.
Got out. China should have stopped it, but China, they didn't know, and they wouldn't let us in. We wanted to go into China. They didn't want us to go in because
we were already in. You pulled them out.
They didn't want to have us see it. Maybe they were worried about competence. Maybe they were worried about something else.
Competence? Do you mean us seeing that they were being incompetent, or they were worried that you would send someone who was incompetent? What are you talking about? What?
But the question is good, and here's the final answer.
Is that your final answer?
Intelligence agencies told me on the 23rd, shortly thereafter, I closed down the country, but I didn't do it because of what they said, because they said it very matter-of-factly. It was not a big deal. And the intelligence agencies...
Why would they say it's not a big deal? What kind of intelligence community gives you a briefing about shit that isn't a big deal? How thick would your PDB be if it was full of all the shit that isn't a big deal, what are you talking about?
Which are now, because before they weren't, which are now very competently run with some great people and some great people coming. The intelligence agencies will tell you that tomorrow.
So
will they? What are they going to tell you? That they put something in your PDB that was meaningless? By the way, he's leaning into this one. Look at that. Just that's a drawn out. There you go.
When you did stop travel in from China, about 40,000 people came
Yeah, he
back
definitely needs to phone a friend with his final answer.
back to this country.
They were American citizens,
but you said they were tested. Who tested them and where?
They were tested. Well, the different states. They were tested. They were quarantined when they were sick, and
No, they were not quarantined. There was voluntary quarantine from the State Department's guidelines. Thank you, 1524 Scooter. Bless you. And it was nice to. Thanks for joining me on Stephanie Miller today. Who in the chat room, by the way, just for my own curiosity, listened to or know me from Steph rather than other stuff? I'm just curious.
And they came back. I spoke with.
Oh yeah, he's jacked on it tonight.
Ron
Got a fresh box of green Sudafed at the pharmacy at Camp David.
Santos 2 days ago, he called me. He said, you know, the 40,000 people that came back, the ones that went to Florida, he said, we put them through the grill. We had people quarantined. We had people tested. You could ask the governor, there's one example, but other governors did the same thing if they were doing their job. But I had to let them come back. I actually said maybe we could keep them there for a while. These are American citizens.
These weren't American citizens. The only people he kept out were people who didn't already have a resident visa.
Let them come back, Martha. So he had 40,000
Martha?
people. Now, when the Democrat said it, he said he closed the border, but
right
he had
on.
40,000. They don't say they were American citizens. I did the right thing. But when they came back, they were tested. Some were tested probably not as good as they could have been. I can tell you.
With what?
Florida tested the people very, very well. And look how low the numbers are in Florida. They've done a great job.
President, carved on the wall behind me is Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural address. And a quote, with malice toward none, with charity for all, let us bind up the nation's wounds. Words, meant to...
Words that you view as a steaming pile of dog shit.
Heal a nation devastated by civil war. We obviously live in a divided time as well. You know that well. Your choice of this hallowed place for this virtual town hall is creating controversy, criticism. What do you say to people who say this is not the right venue for this?
I didn't know that it was creating criticism, and I did.
Really? All I was doing was just taking advantage of. I was using a national monument as a place for a CYA press conference to cover for the fact that I suggested injecting bleach into people's lungs a couple weeks ago.
I did say this would be nice, but I thought it was your choice, not ours. And I had not heard.
Really? You brought it up.
What can you criticize? I don't think it's ever been done.
Yeah, there's a reason it's never been done. Because it's not the place for partisanship. These are national monuments.
What we're doing tonight here.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
And
you're an asshole.
I think it's great for the American people to see.
Why?
This is a great work of art. Aside from.
Yeah, we do go and see it. And it does not matter where you are on the political spectrum. But when you turn it into a little campaign ad for yourself with this Fox News puff piece bullshit, then it's a bit of a problem.
Aside from the fact that was a great man, this is a great work of art.
Why was a great man?
It's one of the greatest sculptures, one of the greatest statues, to me, anywhere in the world. And you can go to Italy, you can go anywhere. That's, to me, one of the greats. And I didn't know there was controversy. Why is there controversy?
Some from Capitol Hill sent a letter that it's not the right place, not the right site. But as far as bringing America together, do you think you're doing that?
Of course he thinks he's doing that.
I think we're winning very big, and then we had a horrible thing happen. We're winning bigger than we've ever won before, Brett. And I think...
Really? But World War II? Man, and like first people on the moon? end of the Cold War, Berlin Wall. So you're gonna say that, like, being what, 6 points higher on the stock market after 4 years, when Obama was like 10 points higher on the stock market than you. All right.
I think that winning ultimately is going to bring this country together.
Winning, that's what binds us all together. Winners.
I'm shocked that during a crisis it would be so partisan. You know, when you see all these committees, 7 or 8 committees, we haven't even started, and they have all these committees looking for trouble, just looking for trouble.
You fired the IG who's watching where the money goes.
Every enemy I have is put on a Democrat committee. And I was surprised. You know, they did the impeachment hoax. It was a total hoax over a phone call that was a perfect call.
And it still went through. Yeah.
We had tremendous, when you look at the House, I think it was 196 to nothing, the Republicans. There was great unity. In the Senate, the same thing. With all of that unity we have, in one sense, we have great unity. In another sense, I think they're going to come along. I mean, you know, I certainly hope so. But the main thing I have to do is bring our country back, and I want to get it back to where it was, or maybe beyond where it was. You know, we have tremendous stimulus, all the money we've been talking about so far tonight. I think next year is going to be a phenomenal economic year.
Because, yeah, 0.25% loans, pouring money into corporations, individuals not getting their money on time, but, you know, big corporations with over 500 employees getting loans from the Small Business Administration while everybody, okay, yeah.
We can never forget all the people that have died, the souls that have been lost in this horrible thing that shouldn't have happened, just shouldn't have happened. It was such a horrible thing. And there's a lot going on about finding out the answer to that, because this is something that should never have happened. It's tragic.
We want to talk to you a little bit more about China in just a moment, but you mentioned winning, and there's a race.
Yeah, he did. Do you really want to bring that up?
To win on the vaccine between countries in the world. So pushing this vaccine development in order to get it to go faster leads to human trials, people volunteering to basically be injected with COVID-19.
Right.
Are you concerned about the ethics or the risk of that in that push?
No, not really. I mean, of course I'm concerned about it, but we got to get our country back. Look, we had the best economy.
Because they're volunteers, they know what they're getting into. They're
Screw them.
in many cases very good people. They want to help the process. Look,
They're rapists, they're murderers, they're bringing drugs, and some of these COVID volunteers, I assume, are nice people.
Vaccine has never gone like it's gone now. We're so far ahead of any vaccine ever.
That's not true.
In history. You know,
Nope.
these things would take 2, 4,
Understood, jackass. We appreciate that.
5, 6 years, 10 years. I think we're going to have a vaccine. I'm telling you, by the end of the year, I think we're going to have a
Do you
vaccine.
think another country could beat us?
I'm going to really say something that is not like me, and it's not like the two of you. I know you, and it's not like you. I don't care. I just want to get a vaccine that works. I really don't care if it's
Yeah, because you care about the economy.
another country. I'll take my hat off to them. We have to come up with a vaccine.
Yeah, convince Trump supporters to take a vaccine anyways, but much less one that was created in Europe.
We're working with other countries. We're working with Australia. We're working with UK. I spoke with the other day.
Winning, whining, whinging.
Prime Minister of UK.
Right, can't stop lying.
Right, he's Boris. He's a victim of what happened. He thought it was over. He thought it was over. It was vicious, and he made it. He's a great guy, and he made it. But
so the people who don't make it they're not great. Probably just untalented then.
he had firsthand experience, the ultimate firsthand experience.
Mr. President, our next questioner is Dina Rubio. She's the co-manager of a restaurant down in West Palm Beach, Florida. You know well. Here's her question.
We're facing the shortage of supplies due to the closure of chicken, pork, and beef plants. Prices are going up, and the restaurant industry is finding even more obstacles to stay afloat. My question is, how could we manage to keep working with very slim profit margins to begin with and absorb the shortage price increase at this point? And even when we do open our dining rooms, we will be having limited seating available.
Right. So the restaurant business is a tough business to start off with, not an easy business. We're doing a number of things. Number one, the supply chain is...
Well, his coke knot on the right side of his nose is really swollen today.
Is going to be in great shape. I did the Defense Production Act We did things. The problem with the supply chain is you have
He's gonna, but by the end of this presidency, he's gonna look like Artie Lang.
people that have gotten sick with the COVID-19. You've had the people and they've gotten sick. They're getting better, and they're all getting better, and you can't make them work. I don't want them to work, frankly, if they're
What?
not feeling great. But we did something the other day, which you read about,
What?
which was a great shock to the system in a positive way. We have tremendous,
I don't know. Did he just admit that?
Limited seating available.
Did he just say that?
not an easy business. We're doing a number of things. Number one, the supply chain is going to be in great shape. I did the Defense Production Act. We did things. The problem with
Yeah, to force the workers back.
the supply chain is you have people that have gotten sick with the COVID-19. You've had the people and they've gotten sick. They're getting better, and they're all getting better, and you can't
No, a bunch of them are dying.
make them work. I don't want them to work, frankly, if they're not feeling great. But we did something the other day, which you read about, which was a great shock to the system in a positive way. We have tremendous supply. We have tremendous demand. We have to get it from supply to the people, to the restaurants.
This is really interesting. In case you ever wanted to open a restaurant, this is like a TED Talk.
And we're doing that really very well. 2 days ago, I signed this. It's coming along really good. They'll have, now the bigger problem is what's going to happen with the restaurant. So we're not going to have any chain problem. The bigger problem is what are you going to do with a restaurant, which was, a nice little business, but all of a sudden they have half the number of seats if they go. Eventually, we're going to have all those seats back. You're going to have all those seats.
Eventually, how are they going to hold on to their business until that time?
I want to sit next to people. I don't want to have all this spread out. Like even
No one wants to sit next to you. You're fine.
the way we're doing this interview tonight. Look how far away you are. Look how far away you are. Normally we'd be sitting together and would have a nice interview. Of course, in this particular location, this isn't so bad. But no, we have to get our life back.
Show the Lincoln shot again.
We have to get our country back. We have to get the world back. We want to have, if we have a stadium in Alabama that holds 110,000 people against LSU, I went there. We want to have 110,000. We don't want to have 25,000 people.
If it holds 100,000 people, you want 110,000 people in there? Really? You do realize that after COVID, there's still going to be fires, right? Do you know what a fire marshal does for a living? You've done environmental impact statements.
40,000 people, and that'll happen. Maybe it's going to be a vaccine, or maybe it's going to be that this virus will pass. It will go.
Oh my God, Hannah,
Will it come back? It might. It could. Some people say yes, but it will pass.
I want to go back to the meat processing plants because there's some.
Do you really want to go back there? I don't think you've ever been, but it's not a good place to hang. I'm just saying. You mean you want to discuss them again?
Controversy surrounding that. Danny Lamos, who you saw before, who had the remdesivir,
Right.
said it helped him
Remdesivir.
survive. His father worked in one of those in Nebraska in the meat plants. And some people there say that they have plastic between them, but they're too close together. A lot of immigrants working there who are concerned, but they can't turn down a paycheck to go back there. So the Smithfield plant in Crete wanted to shut down for 2 weeks. And then the executive order changed that. So there's some pushback on that decision by you. What do you say to those people?
Well, the companies really wanted it, and the employees have to want to work. Now, if they don't want
The employees have to want to work.
to work, that's one thing, but they are working, and they need the money.
They have to work. They don't want to work. Their lives are in danger, dummy.
And the companies they're great companies. These are the biggest companies in the world in terms of delivery and in terms of all of the things they do to get it from literally the ranch or the farm into the hands of the consuming public. But
Name two of those steps.
I think it's all
From, when they milk the cow to when it's fried.
working out. The numbers are in.
And it's trucked, frozen to McDonald's, and they make fish delight.
Are heading in the right direction. The numbers, look, the biggest thing we can do to solve every problem is get rid of the plague. I call it the plague. If we get
Not a plague. It's not the plague.
rid of the plague, all these problems go away very quickly.
Some of
It's not the plague.
those meat processing areas are hotspots right now.
They're hot spots, and they're moving them, and they did put up plastic, but now they're going to move them, in some cases, further away.
Meat chicks.
And certain plants don't have any problem at all. You have plants with no problem at all. Then you
Where you mean the place where we're not testing?
have some where it was a hot spot.
There's some planets with no life on them at all. Of course, we've never seen them, and we don't There's not even pictures, but there's no life. They're barren.
Those people are
We know this for a fact.
tending to get better very quickly. I think,
No, they're not. A bunch of them are dying.
Danny's an example. I hope his father's going to be okay too. But it's all working out. It's all working out. It's horrible that we have to go through it, but it's all working out.
No, it isn't. How is it all working out? There are, and I'm going to check this since just we've been on the air, see if this is updated at all. Yeah, there's been 200 more deaths since I've started this broadcast. How is that all working out?
Our next question is from Carol McNeil, a retired teacher in Bluffton, South Carolina.
A family member who lives.
Thank you, 1524 Scooter. It's his plague, right? I have a plague on my wall from a charity I used to run.
In a very
exclusive
and expensive assisted living center in the Boston area was recently diagnosed with coronavirus. What will be done both in the short term and in the long term to protect the vulnerable in nursing homes, senior
Who is holding her? Why is she using 90 shaky cam for her phone?
housing and assisted living centers?
So the nursing home problem, that's your ground zero. It really is ground zero. We first heard about it.
No, it's not.
I did in Washington when so many people were, in the state of Washington, where so many people died in a single nursing home.
Right, that's why you think Inslee didn't do a good job for the, by the way, nice face. It is almost impossible to freeze his face without it looking like he's one cheek sneaking this crowd.
And you realized immediately there's a vulnerability there. What we're doing is legislation immediately as to how many people can be in. Some people made some terrible mistakes. They were putting other people into empty areas in nursing homes that were sick. And that affected the people in the nursing homes. Because the one thing about this disease that everybody's learned very easily and very quickly is the way it's so contagious. It is the most contagious thing people have seen.
And yet, you want to reopen everything. We had 15 cases 2 months ago. We now have 70,000 dead in this country. We now have over 1 million cases, and this asshat wants to open the country up and stop mitigation. Thank you, Christina.
So in 1917, we had a horrible, in that case, it was a flu. Right?
18 and 19.
Right? You remember the Spanish.
And it went into in 1920 as well.
Flu. So much has been written about it. Now, of
And you haven't read a single thing.
course, it's the hottest. Everybody that writes a book about the Spanish flu, 1917, it killed
1918, 1919, and 1920.
between 100 and, I guess, 50 to 100 million people. It
Worldwide.
probably ended the First World War because the
No, it didn't.
soldiers were all getting sick.
No, that's not true.
It was the worst the world has ever seen that we know of. We have
That we know of. No, it isn't. The plague killed more people.
something that's different.
And it killed more people because over time we had more medical ability to push back against these. We now have technologies available to us and antivirals and antibacterial treatments and medical interventions that didn't exist in 1918. And they had stuff that didn't exist in the dark ages.
It's different. It's not as powerful, but it's far more contagious.
With regard to the nursing homes, one of the questions that came to my mind when I watched the Comfort leaving Manhattan and the Javits
Was so what?
Center, why were these people next to each other like this in nursing homes when we had all this excess capacity and beds? Why weren't they sent?
Because they're too old to be moved and they could isolate them room to room. They're not crammed next to each other.
There.
So on that one, you have to ask the governor, and in the case, the governors, because all I can do is provide the space. They're running their state, as you understand, and that's the way it should be. They run their state through mayors and through this and that.
They need swabs and other devices to do the
bring it down
testing.
local
Oh my
and bring
God.
it down to a point. But we
Germans ran out of money. That was one of the reasons. We made them run out of money.
provided 2,900 beds in the convention center. On top of that,
Maybe he'd understand some of this if you watch Horrible Histories or something. I don't think he has the patience for
brought
it,
in the
Steve.
Comfort. They did a phenomenal job. And the Comfort wasn't meant for the COVID-19. The Comfort was meant for people that had car accidents and everything else. So we found out there were no accidents because nobody was driving. We had very few accidents. but it wasn't meant for that. What we did is we converted it to that, but still they didn't use it much. And I think the numbers now are getting better. We just moved the comfort. We're going to move it someplace else, probably perhaps for some other kind of problem. But we had the comfort.
You know what it's originally for?
There, and we built in the Javits Center, we built over 2,000 beds.
What do you mean you built 2,000 beds? I mean, this is the same story. You guys,
5 days
we've heard all
by the
this
Army Corps of
nonsense.
Engineers. The Army Corps of Engineers have done one of the greatest jobs anyone's ever seen, including the fact that we happen to be building a wall on the southern border that's now up to 172 miles.
Quickly, how
Yeah, replaced, like just repaired wall
concerned are you
with stuff that apparently you can buzzsaw through in 10 minutes, and that you can climb with a ladder made that costs like $1.92.
about hospitals that are not dealing with COVID-19 or primarily not, and they're letting people go or closing?
We have to get elective surgery, it's called, and we have to let them.
Is it called elective surgery, or is it elective surgery? Why does everything have a name? Why is there, like, this is part of his weird branding thing, isn't it?
It's okay with us. Again, that's up to the governors. You have some hospitals where they have almost no COVID, and they have the hospital, essentially, you can't go and do elective surgery, meaning a surgery, well, in some cases it's cancer where they're waiting long. That's not a good thing to be waiting long. So
No, that doesn't count as elective surgery.
So it's such a, they have to get back. They have to let these hospitals, because the hospitals are legitimately, you know, you think they're making a lot of money, they're losing a fortune. They have to let those hospitals reopen and get back to elective surgery.
Oh my God. Okay, so hold on. They switch to, is this it? No, that's not it. He does, oh, there it is. Yeah. So they pick up, they had a little break, and then they come back.
Thank you for taking our question, Mr. President. I'm Mary Rose.
And I'm Mark, and we own Rosemark Grips. We're a small business in Florida that makes golf putter grips. We do not qualify for the payroll protection program because we do all the work ourselves. We don't have any payroll employees. We're wondering if there's something in the works that will help us out, as we have numerous bills that still need to be paid.
Nope.
And do not qualify for current programs that are out there.
Well, first of all,
that's a no.
I love your business, and I can speak for Brett. We could both use a nice putter grip, and it would be nice. But I don't know about you, Brett. I haven't played golf in a long time.
Played much.
We haven't played too much lately. But I will say this: what we have to do is get it open. I see New Jersey's opening up their golf course.
What do you mean get it open? The answer is no, by the way, to those folks.
Florida's now opening up their golf courses. Parks are opening. Beaches are opening. At some point, we have to open our country, and people are going to.
Parks and beaches don't have staff that engage with other people if they don't have to. Like,
to be safe, we've learned a lot. We've learned about the.
What have you learned? What'd you learn?
I learned how to pronounce rendezvous, and ham and cheese decroxyquin.
Tremendous contagion, but we.
I learned that meat travels from the cow to the mouth through a truck, people, and
no choice. We can't stay closed as a country. We're not going to have a country left.
But Mark and Mary Rose are saying they fell through the cracks. We got a lot of questions like this, that either the bank didn't give it to them or they didn't qualify. And is that, what do you tell them?
I understand. And all we can do in that case is we have to bring back the business. Now, all of that's opening, and their business is golf, which is a nice business. And we're opening up that whole golf sector, the sports sector, where I wish I could help them. I'd even help them personally, because you know what? It's not a big business, but for them, it's a big thing, and they probably do
his staff's gonna order that he gets his golf stuff fixed by them, and he's gonna use campaign funds to pay for some new golf grips and buy a bunch of stuff for his whole staff or some nonsense.
Fantastic job. I could see that.
And yes, he played golf at Camp David.
Such great spirit. What we do is we loan the money to small businesses, but not necessarily business. It's an unusual circumstance where they're each their own employee. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at that. Maybe there is something we can do.
Because all the stimulus in the world really can't solve the problem of demand in the country, right? I mean, how do you stimulate demand?
The greatest thing we could do is get rid of the virus, because then everything comes back together. Then you don't need stimulus.
Yeah, and how do you do that? You do that by everyone staying separate until it burns itself out within the country, and then you have tracing and quarantine systems set up, and then you can know where the embers break out.
Once that's happening. And what is happening is the stimulus. You know, we're talking about $3 trillion, not just $2 trillion, $3 trillion.
That's true. It's pronounced campang.
It could even go to 6. And we're going to have a tremendous year next year because of what we're doing and laying the seeds. You know, we're talking 30 million jobs that we've saved. 30 million jobs, that's unheard of. In addition, we saved...
How did you save them? No, you didn't. You didn't save those jobs. You presented a situation where they could temporarily be funded. And it was a unanimous vote across all of government.
We saved the airlines. We saved others. You know, one thing happened on Friday.
You saved them? Really?
Friday that was very big. Boeing.
Is that why Warren Buffett pulled all of his stocks out of airlines yesterday or day before?
A great company. Then they had the problem that people know, a different problem. And then they end up with this, where their sales are cut so badly because of this, which is, by the way, also happening in Europe, as you know, with their competitor. No airplanes. They floated a bond issue, borrowed money, very, very successfully at a good rate on Friday. That's a big step. The markets are there. The markets are open. I believe it was $30 billion.
Yeah, but how many people are going to be flying on airplanes again?
So the markets are there. That's a big step. We didn't have to do anything with Boeing. They went out to the markets, and they were able to borrow a lot of money, and it's going to be a great company again. But we've done that with the airlines. The airlines, Brett, were having the best year they've ever had, ever in their history. And then we had to turn off the airlines. We had to turn off.
They said, sure, you're going to have to shut the sky down. And I was like, what? Nobody's ever even heard of anything like that.
And we did the right thing.
Thanks, Krista.
We never want to have to do it again.
Let's go to...
Look at that look on his face. These are fun questions. You having a good time? You enjoying this? Are you? This is what you wanted when you ran for president? You thought you'd just be able to sit up there and yell at people. All the things you accused Obama of doing, you wanted to do so desperately, and then you realize there's actually a real job to do, and it sucks, doesn't it?
Let's go to Carolyn Perkins. She's
Look at him shaking his head. He's like at the tail of that, like,
a retired nurse and an elementary school guidance counselor. And here's her comment question.
President Trump, my husband and I thank you, your family, and your staff for your great dedication to our country. We pray for you every day.
She's going to have a job in the administration by the end of this clip.
The question I have is about your manner of presentation. Why do you use descriptive words that could be classified as bullying, and why do you not directly answer the questions asked by the press, but instead speak of past successes and generally ramble? The USA needs you. Please let go of those behaviors that are turning people away from you. Please hold on to your wonderful attributes that make you our great leader, and let go of other characteristics that do not serve you.
Good. I think I like
Wow.
that question. I'm not sure.
I think I like that question. I'm not sure if I like that question. She dragged you, dude. She totally sucker punched you. That's amazing. Yeah, it was Ruth Gordon.
Why you gotta be such a jerk, Mr. President? What are you gonna do?
Sure, but I think I like that question. I appreciate it. I appreciate the prayers, too, very much. Look, I am greeted with a hostile press, the likes
Boo fuckity who.
of which no president has ever seen.
Really? No president.
The closest would be that gentleman right up there. They always said Lincoln, nobody got treated worse than Lincoln. I believe I am treated worse. You're there, you see those.
Half the country took up arms and attacked the other half of the country over Lincoln's policies. 500,000 Americans killed each other.
Those press conferences,
But tell me again about the Washington Post, or what did Maggie Haberman do? What did she do? Why won't she leave me alone? Why is it always, I mean, God, it's like she shoots me in the head at a play every time she writes her stinging words.
They come at me with questions that are disgraceful, to be honest.
Oh, really? A disgraceful question.
Honest, disgraceful. Their manner of presentation.
You want to know what disgraceful is? The color of your cheeks and chin, like right up. Look at first of all the eyes. I mean, we know the eyes, but look at the chin and the sort of area around. It's like he's got like he was eating out of a bag of like a feeding bag of Cheetos, and it just. Like his nose and chin and the cheekbones, and then there's weird patchy nothing, and then what's this business? What's happening up here? What is that? And then, I mean,
and their words. And I feel that if I was kind to them, I'd be walked off the stage. I mean, they come at you with the most horrible, horrendous, biased questions.
Based on your behavior.
And you see it, 94.
I act like an asshole. They asked me why they made these nasty questions about why I look like an asshole, and I act like an asshole. And then
95% of the press is hostile. And yet...
No. You do a bunch of awful shit and they ask you about it. And you get all bent out of shape because you know it's awful shit.
If you look in...
Or you're too stupid to know that you're doing damage.
In Florida today, we had hundreds and hundreds of boats going up and down the intercoastal, Trump. We have tremendous support. But the media they might as well be in the Democrat Party. And
wait. Good God. For the record, the tremendous support he's talking about are all the assholes standing on courthouse steps with long guns and people riding their boats around, who, by the way, are still, as much as they're like, freedom, we're going out, Mr. Trump knows what he's talking about, they're still social distancing by being on their boats. They're not hanging out with other people.
And why, I don't know. We fixed our...
Because you're an asshole. And you can't even do normal stuff right.
Military, we fixed the vet.
You fixed it? You just doubled how much we spend on it. It wasn't broken. You fixed the what?
You know, if you look at the VA, you take a look at...
You mean dumping hydroxychloroquine down the throats of sleeping veterans?
What's going on with our vets. They have choice now, and we have accountability. We're able to get rid of people that don't treat our vets well. They've been trying to do that for 44 years.
You mean Democrats?
And because of civil service and the unions, you couldn't do it. The biggest thing is choice. We've done choice where if a vet can't see a doctor quickly, they go outside, they get a doctor, they get fixed up, we pay the bill instead of waiting for 5 weeks, 7 weeks. Look at how well these things are running. We rebuilt our military.
That plan's been on the... that's lovely. I mean, it's like he invented it.
We had the...
And then his one instance where he interacted with the vet, he literally insisted they use hydroxychloroquine on them.
The greatest tax...
Yes, lab rats, interestingly enough.
Biggest tax cut in history. All of the things we've done.
Yeah, and it didn't help.
And yet we have a very hostile press. And you understand, maybe you're not going to say it or admit it, and maybe you shouldn't, but nobody's ever seen anything like this. So,
yeah, they have. You were the head of the birthers. You and Fox News insisted that not only was Obama evil and probably running an underground pederast sex ring, but that he wasn't born here and he's from Kenya. Tell me again how people looking at your policies and your behavior while you're instigating those policies is somehow unfair.
I really appreciate the question, and I
boo fuckity who.
Very much appreciate the sentiment behind the question, but I'm standing up there, and instead of asking me a normal question, the level of anger and hatred, I'll look at him, I'll say, what's your problem? What is your problem? You know,
then have some dignity and answer the question. Put them in their place with knowledge. Oh, you can't. Never mind, by the way.
I believe we've done more than any president in the history of our country in the first
I believe we've done more. Well, and that settles
3
it.
years, 3.5 years.
Cheers, Krista. Absolutely. I'm gonna cut this thing short because there's like 40 minutes of it. It's ridiculous.
I really believe that. When you look, even if you look, Space Force. Also, take a look at terrorism. Al-Baghdadi, we killed him. Soleimani, we killed him. We killed the worst terrorists in the world. We got rid of ISIS for,
So you're going to give credit to Obama for Osama bin Laden?
We took over 100% of the caliphate. When I took it over, the caliphate was all over the place.
But
Obama
do you think the election will come down to a referendum on how you handled this crisis?
No.
Yeah.
But
You
it's
think
going to
it'll be
a
bigger than
factor.
that?
No. I think the election's going to come down to, I hope it does, because we've done a great job. We had no ventilators. We had no testing. We had nothing.
We still have no testing.
I inherited empty, no ammunition.
No. They had $1.2 billion added to buy smart missiles that the Obama administration almost ran out of. They were using them so heavily against ISIS.
Military was bad. We've rebuilt our military.
Yeah.
$1.5 trillion. We have the best military by far in the world. It's rebuilt.
We already did. We had 6 times the size of all other countries combined.
It's either all new.
You just gassed the economy through defense
The
spending.
equipment's coming in, which is great. But you know what? Also,
What?
medically, we had empty cupboards.
Empty cupboards. Did we? We didn't have between 6 and 9 because they won't tell it. Thank you, Joe Carter. 6 and 9 different sites.
Cupboards,
Oh my God.
I say the cupboards were empty.
Oh, you say the cupboards were bare. Nobody gives a shit. Can we hop ahead? Do you guys mind? There's a thing about Biden coming.
Pandemics, he gutted it. We had CDC.
You're going to read the Biden.
The team of people that did this job was incredible. It was.
This is him hiding behind people. And if it's a failure, it's the governor's fault. If you're blaming me, you're blaming my team that I told what to do the wrong thing. Boo, friggity who.
Pandemics, he gutted it. We had CDC officials in China to detect and contain the outbreaks. He pulled them out. Trump can try and shift blame all he wants, but the fact is his actions left us unprepared.
First of all, Joe Biden didn't write that. That was written from a young man that got very good grades at a very good school. That was not.
Yeah. By the way, on that site, I use FactBase, which is factba.se. If you look up just President's public schedule, they'll list on there. They list all of his tweets, and they'll tell you which ones he wrote and which ones the staff wrote, by the way.
It was not written by him. I promise you that. Joe Biden, just so you know, when I closed our borders to China, I did the China ban. I didn't want to do that. I did something that nobody wanted to do. Joe Biden said he's xenophobic. He's a racist.
Yeah, because that's all you did. Yeah, you thought your racist solution was the one solution that would take care of it. Oh, Chinese people are diseased. I'll just stop Chinese people from coming in.
They call me a racist.
Unless they're business people who are making money here, and then that they can come in. It's poor Chinese people that will stop the poor Chinese people from coming in. That'll do it. And then I'll go back to golfing.
And I saved hundreds of thousands of lives. And he actually apologized with a letter on a Friday night saying he made the right move. It wasn't well played by the press, but he said, I made the right move. No, if we would have listened to Joe Biden, look how badly they did on swine flu.
Yeah. Remember when we shut down the entire country over swine flu? Guys, remember that? Remember the 70,000 dead from swine flu? You guys remember that? Me neither.
The H1N1, which he calls the opposite. H1, it's H1N1, swine flu. Look how badly they did on that. Look how badly they've done on so many other things. I mean, the place, our military was a mess. Just about everything was a mess. Look at what they did in the Middle East. What's gone on?
What did you do with the pandemic response team? Why were you behind the 8 ball?
The Middle East. And in all fairness on the Middle East, I look at the previous administration for getting us in because that was the single worst decision made in this country's history.
So that's why you gutted the pandemic response team and you ignored the playbook and you pulled the people out of China and from the CDC? You mean that?
Single worst, getting into the Middle East. Just so you understand, we've spent $8 trillion in the Middle East. What do we have for it? What do we have for it? And things are moving.
Can we get back to the question about the CDC people in China and the actual pandemic that we're dealing with right now?
Moving very nicely in the other direction.
Our next question for the president.
Wait, was there an answer there for that? Was there anything close?
Comes from Rob in Ohio.
Yeah, we still, like, Ebola is still transversing through the United States. When are we ever going to clear Ebola out of here? Oh, my God.
Hello, I'm Rob from Columbus, Ohio.
Hello, Rob. That guy's literally that. There's so much bass in this dude's voice, it's rattling my bone-conducting headphones.
Coronavirus is disproportionately affecting communities of color. I wanted to know what your administration will do to address this.
He's going to talk money. I guarantee it.
So we are working on that very hard, and you're right, 100%, that if you look at African American, by the way, Asian American also, and Hispanic American, they're very much more affected. People are not 100% sure. It could be because it's a certain segment that does work together, restaurants and different jobs, which are affected a lot. But we're coming out with a report in 2 weeks.
Wait, he thinks everybody, like black people, Asians, and Hispanics are all busboys, and that's why?
On it, and I want to get to the bottom of it too, because it's a totally disproportional effect. It really is.
Yeah, we know it is. What's your plan to deal with it, was his question.
It's pretty amazing, actually.
It is amazing. Thanks. Cool. Great. Great answer. Yeah, that cleared it up, right? You guys got it all together?
Next question's from Trip Grebe. He's a freshman at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and here's his question for you.
All right, Wisconsin. I'm hoping to win Wisconsin in the election, so this is good. This is helpful.
Mr. President, if you're elected to a second term, what's your plan to be more fiscally responsible to either reduce or eliminate the deficit in response to increased federal spending for the coronavirus stimulus packages?
So we have billions of dollars coming in right now from other countries. We have money.
Oh, the China tariffs are going to bail us out. So $125 billion in Chinese tariffs are going to bail us out of a $6.4 trillion stimulus.
Coming in. People are paying now for military protection. People are paying for other things. As you know, I'm putting taxes on other countries where they've taken advantage of us, especially, by the way, China. China never gave 10 cents to our country.
Oh, my God. This again. Jesus, I'm skipping ahead.
Canada, USMCA.
Oh, my
this
God.
country. And what kind of incentive would you give manufacturers of pharmaceuticals to make sure that we are not dependent on China anymore for this?
So the reason it took place is because other people that sat in this chair, maybe not right
that chair
here, but this is a beautiful place, because they were foolish. You could even say because they were stupid, because they allowed this to happen. And it's not only China. You take a look at Ireland. They make our drugs. Everybody makes our drugs except us. And
yeah, pharmaceutical companies do this. We don't nationalize any of our stuff. If you're suggesting we want to nationalize elements of our medical supply chain, then go ahead and say it.
We've already done it. We're coming out with things, numbers. You're seeing numbers of innovations that we've made in the past, and things are being announced already. But we're bringing that whole supply chain back. Nobody has to tell me to do it. I've been talking about that for years. Now, the one that you see, you don't see it. You see it with cars. You see it with other things. People never looked at medicine. But it's always been about medicine, because we have at least 94, 95% of our medicines are made.
It's important to do the vaccine here.
Well, it's an incredible thing. They're American companies. Well, I'd like to be able to do it here. I don't want to do it in China. That I can tell you. But I think we're going to do it here. And
we're going to do it in India.
If we do it someplace else.
India.
Look, we have to get a vaccine.
He was talking to Modi. We're going to be making most of this stuff in India.
Whoever gets it, I'm gonna be their best fan, and I need the vaccine. This country needs the vaccine, and you're gonna have it by the end of the year. I firmly believe it.
When will we get that 94?
Really? Wait, you also firmly believe we would go from 15 cases to 1? I'm skipping ahead again. Oh God, there's a Mike Pence moment coming.
It's a very strong one, because that's going to really put people to work. But infrastructure is so important. Our country, our roads are, they're going to hell. We can't get infrastructure approved. Now we have we have a period of time when we can get infrastructure done by both parties, and we're looking at that. In addition, as you know, they want bailouts for the states, the Democrats, and really it's a number of states that
I don't have my glasses. We're doing Mnuchin. It's sad.
Hold on one second. This is not right. We can't do this. We got it. This is just crazy pants. Hold on. Give me a second. Good Lord, my hair is fluffy today. That's fun. But hold on. Oh, we're back here.
have not been managed well by Democrats over a long period of time. So we have to be very careful about that. Very careful. But we will be doing infrastructure. And I told Steve just today, we're not doing anything unless we get a payroll tax cut. That is so important to the success of our...
It's a dumb idea, and you guys are just going to use this to beat up the Social Security.
...country and to the following year, because I think that the following year has a chance to be one of our best years. That'll be tremendous.
You all believe that that is how you stimulate demand, is that payroll tax cut? I mean, where do you look at that in the big picture?
Well, the president's been very clear on that, and he's spoken about a payroll.
Why is Pence lit, but Mnuchin is not?
Payroll tax cut over the years, but I would also say
Why?
to that viewer that
why do I sit in the darkness?
The immediate
why am I sitting in total darkness?
Deal with joblessness is by opening up America again. The guidelines that the president produced, that now we see some 41 states produced plans for a phased, responsible reopening of our economy. Is going to create jobs in the immediate. And
we really feel
I just think where we are today, despite
I don't care what you say,
heartbreaking
Q-tip.
losses of
We
more
want
than
to talk to the man.
67,000
thing.
Well, let me just first comment before we say the next thing. Let me just emphasize what.
So let me say, before we say anything, let me say something before we say the other thing. And when we're going to thing our way, thing.
We've done, and the president was very clear, keeping Americans at work, putting them back to work, protecting American business was our #1 priority, an unprecedented.
That's why we made sure that companies with billions of dollars in holding had first dibs on the SBA loans. And
way, we now have $3 trillion that we're putting into the economy. That's
and by economy, I mean my friend's pockets at Goldman Sachs and.
Just beginning. So for those Americans who haven't received their money yet, they will over the next few.
You're going to get this. The check is in the mail, America. I don't know how else that's a terrible, but it's true. It's not, but okay.
Weeks. Last week.
Just tell your landlord the check is in the mail. That's what we tell you. Just tell them tell them I told you that the check is. Oh God.
Alone, we did 2.1 million of small business loans, averaging $85,000 or less. We've already sent
$2.1 billion in small business loans, $8,000 or less, and $6 trillion have gone out the door. Sounds kind of pitiful, actually.
An enormous number, over 120 million direct deposits and checks. The president created enhanced unemployment. So the president has been very clear in an unprecedented.
He's created so many things that the Democrats made him do.
Way for us to support the economy.
That's true.
And in the next round, we will go back and work with Congress, just as we have before, to make sure we protect American business, American workers, and to stimulate the economy going.
Stimulate it.
Forward.
Not quite as stimulating as having sex on all the gold in Fort Knox, but you know what I'm saying.
So let's go to our next question for you all from Phil Tuckoff. He's the
Am I done?
president of Tuckoff.
Have I been? I got kicked to the curb. Okay.
Food Products, which is a family company, been in the business for over 90 years. They have 4 locations: South Carolina, Georgia, Oregon, and Tennessee. And here is Phil's question.
Phil.
For my firm, the current tariffs add up to almost $60,000 in monthly additional costs for my operations. Lifting these tariffs would help us speed the recovery for many of us by allowing those funds to be used to hire workers, invest in equipment, and recoup some of the cash we've spent to weather the current economic situation. Would you consider permanently or even temporarily reducing or eliminating those tariffs?
Yeah, no.
So, Phil, we're looking at different things, but you have to remember, I've taken those tariffs and given a lot of them to the farmers, and farmers that would have been really forced out of business by China when they were targeted, because China never had.
Yeah, he's not a farmer, dipshit.
Target us because China was.
So to make a deal for the farmers, because you need their votes, because you view the heartland as one of the areas where you think people are dumb enough to vote for you a second time, that you think you can buy their votes with taxpayer money while you have a tariff war, but all the other companies that are affected by your tariffs can go pound sand because they're not farmers?
It's ripping our country off. We were losing $500 billion a year to China.
We weren't losing $500 billion a year. We were buying $500 billion worth of stuff from China. Are you really that stupid? Don't answer.
China for years, and 300 billion, 200 billion, 544 billion, 544 billion a few years ago. And what I'm doing is, and what I've done is taken a lot of money out of China, and I've given it back to Phil and other people, because I've given it back to not all of it, because we had so much money came in from China. But we gave, as I said, 12 billion 2 years ago, 16 billion, and this year we have 19 billion that we're distributing to the farmers. Nobody's ever done that. No president's ever.
Yeah, it's called socialism. And you are basically having China buy $50 billion worth of goods that the taxpayer is paying $68 billion for. What chapter in Art of the Deal is that?
But Phil is obviously bringing
It's nuts.
in supplies from China that he's paying tariffs on. Would you encourage him to try to find other countries to buy those things
He
from?
is, but you know what they're also getting? They're getting big payments. The farmers.
No, they're not. He's not a farmer, dipshit.
Are getting big payments.
He's not a farmer.
And by the way, they are the most incredible people. They don't even
So this guy's an asshole because he's not a farmer?
want the payments. You know what they say to me? Something that almost no other group, and I can say practically no other group, they want a level playing field. We had
Yeah. Why are you talking about farmers? That dude's not a farmer.
a meeting with them, with Mike, and they came in and I said, we're going to give you this. They said, sir, honestly, we don't want anything. We just want a level playing field. Because for 18 years, really, it's longer than that, they've been taken advantage of, not only by China, by everybody, including Canada, including many, many countries that you
Friggin' Canadians.
wouldn't even think. So the farmers now, with the new USMCA and all of the other things, and as far as Phil, I understand it, but we're giving billions and billions of
What do you understand?
I totally understand what Phil is going through. I love natural whole foods.
money to the farmers, and have a lot of money that goes back into the Treasury. And Steve is the proud recipient from the standpoint of the Treasury.
But are you
What?
considering new tariffs on China as sort of a punishment for their handling of the virus?
Well, it's the ultimate punishment. I will tell you that. I don't.
No, it isn't. I think the ultimate punishment is probably nuking them. That sounds ultimate to me. This is just monetary.
But experts
I
look
don't
at
like. Again, I don't like to tell you what because we're all playing a very complicated game of
Oh yes, 4D chess.
chess or poker. Name whatever you want to name. But
Shoots and ladders. Uno. I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna go with marbles. Nah, I lost those a long time ago.
it's not checkers. That I can tell you. We have a very
It's not checkers, that I can tell you. I feel so much better.
I am so good at checkers that they call it chess. I don't know if you've noticed that, but it's true. It is so true.
complicated game going.
Very complicated. It's like Connect Four meets the game of life and Shoots and Ladders, but with a boggle dice tit in the middle.
Country was being ripped off by
It's like playing Monopoly as the shoe.
every nation in the
It's like playing Monopoly if your father doesn't start you off with $1 million and you get 9 get-out-of-jail-free cards from your friend David Pecker.
world. And now we have made unbelievable strides. Unfortunately,
Well, yes, nobody believes them, but yeah.
then we get hit by this whole situation.
Say, why didn't you say Scourge again? You could have said Scourge just then. Say Scourge!
But we have done so well. We have taken in so much money. Going before the virus, China had the worst year they had in
Not quite.
67 years. That's a reason. And I'm not happy about that. But what it does is it says
What, do you need to grab it? Oh, yeah, sure.
they were taking us for a ride.
Right, but to
like
Phil's point is
nobody in
that
history
Americans
has ever done at any time.
He's saying Americans feel it. Experts said just your mention of that helped drive the markets down Thursday and Friday. But I'm just wondering.
No, not exactly, but sort of. But yeah, but I mean, do you guys not know what disaster economics are? How are my friends supposed to make money if I don't artificially crash the system?
If you're really seriously thinking about it.
Look, you're becoming a wise guy and you're asking nasty questions.
Tariffs at a minimum are the greatest negotiating tool that we have ever devised that were never used for negotiation.
What are you talking about? They're the primary point of never mind. He knows more. Trust me, I know more. I forget who I am
President Xi
sometimes. I know more about tariffs than almost anybody,
Made the deal with us.
probably in the whole world ever.
This is going to buy 250 billion. Now we're going to have to see what's going on because of what happened. This was done, months before the virus, but we're going to buy 250 billion dollars worth of our product.
We're going to have
250 billion. They didn't buy
billion.
They didn't want to buy from us.
They didn't want to buy from us. They wouldn't buy. How come they don't buy the stuff from us?
Of our country. Now they have to buy.
Thanks, John Mahoney. The $5 for Scourge.
And if they don't buy, we'll terminate the deal. Very simple. But
very simple. But in the meantime, all the companies that are shut down because of the ongoing, great, super. By the way, thank you for the patrons and thank you guys for hitting the like and giving us a thumbs up. I'm not streaming on Periscope and Facebook anymore, just to you guys temporarily because Restream's having some issues. I might have to have another source that goes to the other sites before I can do that.
Using the tariffs, that's the only reason. The one thing that he said, we must get rid of tariffs. I said, we're not going to get rid of tariffs. You got to treat our country with respect. You've been ripping
Oh, you missed a good opportunity to do your weird Chinese accent.
Off our country for many years. The World Trade Organization has ripped off this country. That's when China became an economic power. And by the way, you have World Trade and you have World Health. The World Health
They're not related bodies.
Organization has been a
They just have the word world in them.
disaster. Everything they said was wrong, and they're China-centric. All they do is they agree with China, whatever China wants to do. So our country, perhaps foolishly in retrospect, has been paying $450 million a year to the World Health Organization. And China has been paying $38 million.
What difference does it make? That's a leadership issue. Argue that the leadership needs to go because they didn't run it. Or that we should have a stronger presence. Oh, God. Here comes. Okay, we've got another question. Then
Let's go to Moise. Can we pull up Moise right now?
He's from Crawford, I think. Yep.
Mr. President, I have a question for you. Is there enough evidence that China misled global community about this coronavirus? If it's so, how should global community respond?
Well, I don't think there's any question about it. We wanted to go in. They didn't want us to go in early, very early. You'll see that because things are coming out that are pretty compelling now. So I don't think there's any question.
Really?
Don't forget, China tried to blame it first on some of our soldiers. That turned out to not go too far. And I really got very upset with that. That was not right. And then they tried to blame it on Europe. I said, how did Europe get involved all of a sudden? Italy suffered probably more than anybody per capita, but Italy, Spain, France now is on an additional lockdown. They've got tremendous problems. All of Europe, it's been a disaster. And when I put a ban on, those people.
Oh my God, ban on it. For God.
People on Wall Street to help us. Who else is better than these people? That's what they do. And by the way, they're working for a very tiny fee because I said, I don't want to pay them a lot of money for doing this. We're giving them money to save the airlines. I'm not looking to make them rich. They're rich enough. So I said, we're going to get the best people, pay them some cost, but pay them very little. I hope you kept doing that, Steve, right?
I did, Mr. President.
I hope. I'm going to check you.
Sure did.
Anyway, but we have the smartest people. We saved the airlines. We saved the airlines.
You haven't saved anything yet. We're still in the middle of this, dummy. Oh my God, skip ahead.
Numbers are coming down. New Jersey.
I can't because it's
was really hit hard. No, I think most of the numbers are coming down. We're on the right side of it, but we want to keep it that way. But we also want to get back to work. The people want to get back to work.
Yeah, but they don't want to die for their job.
I've seen it more and more. People are saying that also causes death. It causes drug addiction. It causes suicides. It's a lot.
Not if you well manage it. If you keep creating false expectations, then people start committing suicide because they think it's them. Don't you understand? I want to spread all over the country.
Of death caused by that. There's no win here, just so we all understand. There is no win. This is not a situation where there's a win.
Personally, I'm tired of winning.
But the job that this country has done, the people of this country, it's incredible what they've.
Thank you. You're staying at home and keeping me, coronavirus, from spreading everywhere.
How they've endured, how they've suffered. That's why we are. In terms of deaths, it's a tremendous number. One is too many, right? I say it all the time. Yeah. But in terms of death, Brett, we're at the lower level, the lowest level predicted.
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet, buddy.
And we might not even hit that. It may be lower than that. And say
Look at that. Look at the look on his face. Gray eyes, like, dude is just bullshitting at the fastest clip he can possibly manage.
Sadly, that's all we can do.
Oh, thanks, Michael Anderson, for the super chat. Look at that. I just got a sign on my screen that told me that I got. That's really nice. They've updated Ecamm to fix this. So yeah.
And we're going to do a lightning round of questions. Some
lightning round.
Short answers and some short questions as well. But I want to start with you, President Trump. We're 6 months away from the election today. A different world than when we were all together in Scranton.
Does she have a fever blister, or does she have just kind of a leaping piece of lips, like a lipstick mark?
What kind of GDP, what kind of employment number do you think you're going to need to get the support of the American people in November?
I think we already have it. I think I built the greatest economy ever. It's going to come back. It doesn't necessarily have to be here.
Country was sailing.
Glory days.
I would tell.
Sailing takes me away. You are the beneath my wings.
People, I would say, you know, can this continue? We were doing the greatest ever, greatest economy in history of any country, blowing away everybody, including
glory days
in China. And then we had to close it. And my ambition is very quickly to get us back to where we were. And I think we can do that very, very quickly. Not if a Democrat comes in and raises taxes. They want to raise everybody's taxes. We're doing the opposite. And the payroll tax cut is very important for getting people back to work.
No, it isn't.
What I want to do is, number one, we're getting rid of the virus. We have to do it. We're working with the governors. We're getting rid of the virus. But we got to put our country back to work. All those people out there that.
So you're saying unless we're back to exactly where we were before it hit, like it never happened, and all those people come back from the dead. So how are you going to get all of the Infinity Stones back through? Never mind.
They're protesting. They're right. They want to go back to work. We want to go back to work quickly but safely. And that's what's happening. And then next year, I think we're going to have a great economic year. We're going to get our jobs back. And I'll go a step further. We have a transition third quarter. We're going to have a very good fourth quarter. We're going to have a great next year.
So we're 6 months to the day. When is the next Trump rally? And will you wear a mask?
Well, I don't know. I mean, everybody wants the rallies. The rallies would never.
Yeah. No, they don't. The people in the towns where they have them don't want to catch them from the people who are gathering with a bunch of other strangers and all these weird deadheaders that are following you around the country that fill the rallies and make it look like everybody wants you in that part of the town when 10,000 of these nutcases roll across the country with you.
We never had an empty seat. From the time I came down
there's been a bunch of empty seats.
The escalator with a person that became our great first lady, who people really love, and they love her at those rallies too. And she loves.
She doesn't go to the rallies, does she?
The people of this country, we have to.
What?
They're longing for the rallies. I get it all the time.
Mask or no?
No.
You can't have a rally. I don't think we can have a rally with an empty stadium, with nobody in there. In other words, you may be able to pull it off for baseball or football or boxing or basketball. You can't pull off a rally with 100%. It wouldn't work out too well. So hopefully we'll be able to do rallies in the last couple of months. I mean, I would hope that within maybe the last couple of months, we'll be able to do rallies in various states.
Mr. Vice President, you went to the Mayo Clinic. You didn't wear a mask. Your critics jumped on you for that. Then you went to GM. You did wear a mask. Was that a concession to the critics, or are you sending mixed signals there?
Well, from early on, the CDC's made it clear that
you wear a mask so you don't spread it, and you'd had a test, but you didn't think you were going to spread it. Guess what? There are other pathogens, dipshit.
Wear a mask to prevent you from conveying the coronavirus.
Yeah, that's not the only disease you carry. That's when you're going into people whose immune systems are in collapse and they're having cytokine storms. They can't take another infection, stupid.
To other people, and since the president and I are in the unique positions we're in, we're tested often.
We should point out that we're tested as well. That's why we're here without a mask as well.
I didn't think it was.
They've all had the test. They all know that they're negative or have got the antibodies allegedly, but they're all sitting apart to set an example that you should sit apart. Instead of just going, all the tests and all the people who are participating in this town hall have had a test and are COVID negative, which they could have ticker taping across the bottom the entire time. But instead they're separating. But meanwhile, this asshole can't wear a mask because there's one disease
necessary.
He thinks he doesn't have. Oh, I will be on here election night. Count on it.
But I should have worn the mask at the.
Yeah, you should have, asshole. But look at this. Like, Trump's going to go, he should never admit to being wrong.
Mayo Clinic. And I wore it when I visited the ventilator.
Al, why do we know that and they don't? It's not about don't, it's about won't.
Later plan.
Yeah, they're sitting 15 feet apart. I think that's just because of Trump. You don't want to be downwind.
In Indiana, and I think it really is a statement about the American people, the way people have been willing to step forward, practice social distancing, wear masks in settings where they can't do that. And I just have to tell you that I couldn't be more grateful to see the way the American people responded. First, the president called for 15 days to slow the spread, then 30 days to slow the spread.
Oh, my God. Then
and
another 30 days,
part.
and then rush to get things open so that people die really quick. I love that part of the plan. That's adorable.
On families and on businesses large and small, but the American people did it. It's made an immense difference. I believe it's saved thousands of lives. And as we go forward, as we can
excuse me, the president said millions. Remember, we could have done nothing.
Continue to practice those principles, all of us together, I know we'll get through this.
A chat with you and somehow death loses its sting. Shut up and never say anything again as long as you live.
So you were asked to speak at the West Point graduation. There's been some pushback on that. Tammy Duckworth, a veteran, said it would be reckless.
A Democrat.
So are you going to do it? And
Democrat who lost her legs in war, bone spurs.
do you think that it's worth the risk for those
How did,
families and cadets?
There's no risk. Are you ready? They wanted.
I'm ready. We're all ready.
Wanted me to speak. I didn't want to speak.
I didn't want to speak. They're making me. What am I, the commander-in-chief? How could I?
I love West Point. I grew up near my school. Where I went to high school was right near West Point, New York Military Academy.
Oh, it's the difference,
So it was a mini West Point, very mini. But West Point's this incredible thing, incredible place. I love it. I know it well because, I spent a lot of time at West Point. They wanted me to come and speak. Then they changed the date. I believe it's June 13th. And it's my honor to speak. But I didn't want to necessarily do it. What they're doing.
They're making me.
Is they're coming back.
Leadership. He's going to give a commencement address on leadership. I didn't want to be here, but you guys made me. And
back a little bit early.
Do you guys even know that we're in a pandemic? Teenagers, am I right?
They're going to be fully tested. They're going to be very, very spread apart. I said, I want their families to be.
If they're fully tested, why do they have to be spread apart?
Be there. Mike made the commencement address. I did it last year at the Air Force Academy. Mike did it this year.
Everybody's jumping in to fill in the information. They're used to doing that.
There were no parents in a big stadium, and they were very spread apart, and it was fun. But they asked me to do it, and I agreed. The generals asked me, would I please do it? I'm the president of the United States. They wanted to have
I'd love to have you there.
All wanted it.
Mr. President, last thing. What do you tell your kids and grandkids about COVID-19, about this time? What do you tell them?
I sat down with my son. I sat down with my grandchildren. I said, a terrible thing has happened. It's a thing that we've never experienced. I said, I guess you could go back over 100 years and you could go.
And I said 1917, and my 9-year-old grandson said, it's 1918. Can you not read?
In 1917, and we experienced it, but Europe experienced it much worse. It could have been 100 million people died. But I said, something's happened, but we're going to be strong, and we're going to get out of it, and our country is going to be bigger and better and stronger than ever before.
And then they started crying from the smell. All right, that's these guys for today. There's a couple other pieces, but I honestly this is all we need for today, kids. Honestly, this is just crazy pants. Let me screw this up here. I will be on tomorrow, same time, so that we can kind of get a regular schedule going. If that works for everybody, if 3 o'clock works for everybody. The only day I don't do that is on Thursdays. I will be, because I have FaceTime with my boy. And so if this timing works for you guys when they do this, and it's right around the time that if they do a live thing, it's about this window. So, anyways, yeah, this is embarrassing. Yeah, and Can't Stop Lying, man. Thank you so much for all this. I appreciate it. Hal, save your energy for the next train wreck. Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, the idea that he sat his grandkids down at all is just, unless he's just like, their parents are like, careful, eat your vegetables or you'll end up looking like grandpa. No! Yeah, so 3 o'clock Pacific time. And you guys are awesome. Thank you guys for the Patreon supporters. I really appreciate you guys. Well, our goal is to hit 500. If you can help us at all, please do so. Patreon.com/HalSparks. It's not a lot, cup of coffee. Just the price of a cup of coffee a month. Maybe 2. If you can spare 3, that's a good way to go. I do have an 8-year-old. And this is my way of making a living currently, since I can't tour anymore till all this goes away. That's the thing. So... and we will, and by the way, Cam lost all 4 teeth. So he's lost these 2 and the 2 on the bottom. So he's just got like a perfect square right now of empty teeth. Like, it's adorable. He's having to drink everything through a straw through the center. And then this one's starting to wiggle. Like, it was the longest time his teeth were not falling out. And then they finally all just went like that. So, anyways, hold on, let me put this up on a regular camera so you don't have to look at this frightening man. Where are they? Oh, there they are. Yeah. But we will, I'll be back on tomorrow. I'm working on some camera stuff tonight, but I'll be back tonight on Twitch, streaming, gaming, that kind of stuff, just to zone out. It's been a long day because I started at, getting up before 7 for Steph's show this morning, and then just piece by piecing, gathering stuff for this. And oh yes, that's right. I'm back on Cameo, by the way. Thanks for reminding me, Can't Stop Lying. Cameo.com/HalSparks. They're a good idea for gifts and stuff for fans and people like kids who like lab rats and people who like Queer as Folk and all that kind of stuff. Like doing a lot of like birthdays and anniversary gifts, which are nice. So Liberty, I let yours expired. But that's so that because you're a Patreon person, I can give you one for free. So I'll be sending yours soon. Anyways, take care of yourselves. Take care of somebody else. I will see you guys later on. Let me make sure I'm on the right thing. I appreciate you guys for showing up every day. Don't forget to like and subscribe and give a thumbs up. The notification bell is really helpful for you guys. And then I'll be cutting little pieces out of this and posting those as well. Yeah, spread the word, share it around. We're trying to boost our subscribership, all that stuff. We're the fastest little growing little liberal progressive show on the internet. I'll say it eventually. I'll say the words correctly once we figure out how to say it. Quite frankly, I just like the word liberal. It's really what I am. So yeah, rather than tacking on 19 different labels for it. But there you go. I'll do 100 baby challenge on Sims for Twitch. What's the 100 baby challenge on Sims for Twitch? I have to look that up, Mary. Good grief. Yeah, I saw some thumbs up right there. Thank you. Bye, Amy, and thank you again for the CD. I appreciate it. Be best. Thanks, Star Dude. Do you mean be rude to people on the internet? What a terrible idea. That's got awful. I might have to start. All right, I will talk to you guys later. Have a beautiful night. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And like Can't Stop Lying always reminds us, reach out to somebody, touch base with somebody. Tonight, if you can, text or email or send like a Twitter message. I almost said Facebook, but nah. Or reach out to somebody, even if it's like preferably an acquaintance, somebody you haven't talked to regularly, or even if it's somebody who you're just a fan of and they have some sort of an online presence and they're on the fringes. They're the touring musicians, not the ones who can sit in a mansion and count their money. Send them a little message thanking them for a song they wrote or a moment that they gave you, that kind of thing. Or reach out to an acquaintance or an old high school buddy or somebody like that. Just let them know you're there and that you're thinking about them and stuff, because you could make all the difference in the world to somebody who's feeling isolated and lonely in this moment. So, just make that, a project over the next little bit, because kids, we're going to be in this for at least another month, just like this. And if, and there's going to be tougher days ahead. My belief is that peak we were supposed to have a couple weeks ago is actually not here yet. and we're slowly plateauing till the arc. So thank you, Joe Carter, for the tooth fairy for him. That's awesome. How you're not rude or sweet, is that too much? Oh, thanks, Amy. No, I appreciate it. I really do. But yeah, so do that, and the other thing is, for those of you that can be in, the patrons, we have the Discord, which is, you can hang out in, and Moto, the MCS, is being awesome and helping me work out all the kinks in that so that it's making a more habitable space. Oh, look at that. We got our audio back. Holy smokes, that was spectacular. So that was Jill Carter's. That's sweet. So the last minute sticker on the way out the door is beautiful. So anyways, yeah, do that if you could. Just reach out to somebody. Let's make that as part of our goal as a gathering, as a group, as we get together. To make that something, everybody talks about whether or not we're going to be shaking hands or whether or not we're going to be gathering together in groups and all that kind of stuff and talking about what we're not going to be doing. Let's make it a habit of what we are going to do, though, is to broaden our circle of friends and help people feel included who might feel excluded in all this mess. You know what I mean? I'm not asking you to reconnect with toxic people by any stretch. Find somebody new, if that's the case. But what I'm saying is find somebody that you really care about that maybe it got lost in the shuffle or has been, kind of off in their own world, and just let them know, apropos of nothing, that you're thinking about them and you wish them well and all that kind of stuff. You don't have any idea how much good you can do for people in that situation, and I recommend it highly. So as a culture, it's something we can do. No, I don't need a haircut. I need it to continue growing. It's almost to Mulletville. It's got to get to my shoulder, and then it's full on mullet. Yeah, I'm excited. So, all right, that's me being sappy for the show today. But I genuinely mean that. Add that to your kind of quarantine behavior pattern, your culture of the quarantine culture. And I will see you guys later on Twitter, and I will see you guys later as we all shuffle through this. And I appreciate you guys being with me today. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.